right, what do you got?
I think I can prove to a judge that both of these men had the mens rea.
What the hell is a mens rea?
It's a legal term the lawyers use. It just means the intention to commit a crime.
Okay, come on, let's go.
Mens rea?
Put the cuffs on him.
How could we have gotten mens rea? We take blood? Can you do it without taking blood? We both use condoms. How is this possible? I want to see a doctor. Can I have an independent blood test?
Money!
I feel sick.
What are you doing?
Mens rea! Ah! Ah!
As you can see, we've had our eye on you for some time now, Mr. Anderson. Mr. Anderson. Oh, Mr. Anderson. 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 Mr. Anderson.
Mr. Anderson. Mr. Anderson. Mr. Anderson. Mr. Anderson. Mr. Anderson. Mr. Anderson. Mr. Anderson. Mr. Anderson.
Mr. Anderson.
Mr. Anderson.
Mr. Anderson. Mr. Anderson. Mr. Anderson. Neil.
Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Hi, it's me, Legal Vices, and we are here. The Vice Squad is in house, and you know it's one of those days. Just nothing's sitting right. So had the Bulldogs storming through the house here, and they sort of knocked tables out of the way. That bumps cameras off. Took me a little while to get everything back in place where it should be, and then I couldn't decide what hat to wear, so I just threw on yesterday's. So welcome. That's what we're doing here. That's why we were a little bit late, but we're here. So, are we ready for day 11? Day 11 of this awesome case. I hope so, because that's what we're going to be doing in just about 22 minutes. Aussie will be here when he wakes up. Chandler said she was doing much better a little earlier on in the day, just before it's sleep time over in her neck of the woods. So I don't know how she's feeling, how she'll be feeling when she wakes up, if she's woken up or whatnot. I've sent her out a message to ask if she is well enough, because she was incredibly sick yesterday. So I asked her if she's well enough to be here today, and we'll see what happens when she answers. It's kind of obvious, but either yes or no is going to be the answer to that question. And if not, we will have some other things lined up. Oh, dear. What? Rose says your wrenches are not working. Okay. I don't know what our wrenches are not working means. I see them. But in any case, I'm not a YouTube technician, so I don't know. Let's see here. Huh. Mod Rose just sent me a tweet saying, Legal Vices, our wrenches are not working. We cannot delete or time out. We had a volunteer for that test. Just letting you know, we're useless. Oh, I could just joke and say the mods are always useless. But that's just like punching below the belt for no reason whatsoever. So all right, that's why we can't have nice things, because YouTube can't keep their platform running up half the time. So yep, it's not just me, I guess, because nothing I can do about it. The only thing I can do is just release the ban hammer myself. So counting on a lot of you just to be adults today. And hey, French Irish, thank you so much for the super sticker. Oh, look at a little baby French poodle, sorry. Oh, French bulldog. Oh, that's so cute. I relegated my bulldogs to the other room tonight. They were being extra snorty and bothersome. So I had to, like I said, they were just pouncing through the room, knocking the tables out of the way. They almost knocked the teapot and the whiskey bottles over, and then knocked the desk out of alignment. So yeah. Okay. All right. And we're all on the same page. We have banned a particular word this evening. any particular subject of discussion. So, all right, let's do our quick background, the back of house, the housekeeping stuff here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We've got 617 of you here. We're just about ready to start the review of yesterday afternoon's proceedings. And before we do that, we have our like and subscribe poll up. I haven't checked the box yet. How many subscribers do we have? I should care more about this, but I'm just not obsessed with it, man. All right, we currently have 35,627 subscribers. That would be super awesome if we get to 35,700 by the end of the day. So that's my goal. We just need like 30. No, sorry. We need 72 more. 73 more subscribers, because lawyers can't do math. 73 more subscribers by the end of the day, but that's the last I'm really going to harp on that. But hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and take our like and subscribe poll. Today's like and subscribe poll brought to you by me. Did you hit the like and subscribe button? Yes, with a blunt force weapon. Did you hit the like and subscribe? Yes, with a stabbing motion. Did you hit the like and subscribe? Yes, like Munch hitting a crack pipe. And if you don't recall who Munch is, Munch was apparently the street name of the jailhouse informant that was busted with like 600 pounds of marijuana and 50 kilograms of coke and crack. And the last question, did you hit the like and subscribe? Yes, like a clerk late for a date. And currently we're pretty even on our answers. So fill that out and we'll check back in the next hour or so and see how that's going. All right, we have a sign of life from Chandler. Chandler is alive. She said she'll be there by 7:30. And immediately after I say that I can't do math, I have to go through like 18 different time zones. So 7:30, that'd be 8:30, 9:30, 10:30, which is 11:30 my time, which is about 45 minutes from now. Okay, so Chandler should be joining us in about 45 minutes, which is about 30 minutes after trial is scheduled to start. All righty. Well, that's pretty dang awesome. And let's see. To be Flair says, I picked stabbing motion because I know just how much that entertains you. Everything entertains me. I'm easily entertained. Munch may be short for Munchkin. I don't know. I'm thinking if he had 600 pounds of weed on him, it's probably short for Munchies. And he was a big guy, so he just may eat a lot and they think he's fat. Now, Crystal Hart says Rackets is too busy begging for money to stream. And while we're talking about that, as some of you may know, Nick is engaged in a rather fearsome lawsuit with a particular individual who has sort of reached, I don't know, Voldemort status, shall not be named. But Nick has started what the hell is it? A give, send, go. Oh, there's too many of these things. A give, send, go campaign to raise money for his particular battle with the forces of evil. And let me just bring this up again. I'm not saying send money. I'm not saying don't send money. I'm just saying, as a guy who supported me and gave me some very, very much needed boosts very early on in my YouTube thing. Well, I'm still very early on in my YouTube thing, but Nick really helped me out at the beginning. So I just wanted to return a favor and show him a little bit of support. And let's see, let me bring this up real quick. We won't dwell on it. We won't harp on it. We'll just mention it here and allow you to do as you see fit. This is his give, send, go, fighting bogus lawsuit from insane moron. He's looking for $50,000 for legal fees. He's got $5,200 now, about 10% of the way there. Started this earlier today. That's his campaign. If you want to go there, you can check it out. Be a donor if you're so inclined. If not, no obligation. I'm just passing on the information to all of you. And I'll put the link down here in chat in case you're interested in going and giving him a boost. Because this isn't just us, in my view, this just isn't us supporting one guy. This is sort of like Andrea Burkhart, what she did after the Johnny Depp trial and they released everything. She went and paid her own money for all of these documents that she released out into the wild for free. And in this case where Nick is being essentially bullied and pounded on by someone who's trying to destroy him, that can happen to any of the YouTube creators. So rather than just a legal fund for one guy's crusade against another guy, I sort of just see it myself as me supporting a person involved in a lawsuit that could eventually help all of the YouTube creators. So do with that as you will. Go check it out if you even want to do that. But it's there if that's your kind of thing. If you want to help Nick out, go ahead. If you don't. I'm not pushing anybody one way or the other. That's all you need to know. All right. Right. Okay, so where did we leave off on this thing yesterday? It was kind of an uneventful day from what I saw. I watched most of it on like 1.75 speed while I was working in the office today, so it was going faster than normal, and I wasn't paying as much attention. But what I got out of it, I have a couple notes here. What I got out of the trial yesterday was that Sadie's friend continued just to make a mess of things. There was really no big smoking gun that came out, but Sadie made some bad mistakes yesterday morning. If you were here for that, there was this whole thing about her telling her daughter, her 12-year-old daughter, that her boyfriend was missing, and essentially implying that this 11, 12-year-old girl's father may have killed her new boyfriend. And that was kind of a shady thing. So the defense lawyer, she asked, why did you tell your daughter this? Well, because, she could see I was sad, and, I just wanted to let her know that mommy's boyfriend had gone missing. Well, when did you tell her this? Now, if you remember the timeline, the last time really anybody heard from him was the night of the 17th, in the 18th, nobody heard from him. And then the 19th, everybody went to his house and found the blood and all this other stuff. So she hadn't heard from her boyfriend in about 12 hours. And, the girl knew mommy was upset. And so she told her daughter that, her boyfriend was missing, and implied that her dad may have had something to do with it. So the defense lawyer asks, well, when did you tell her this? I told her this on the 18th. And mind you, they didn't know that he wasn't missing until the 19th. So she said, well, why did you tell her he was missing on the 18th when nobody knew he was missing on the 18th? And the DA went crazy, tried to object, tried to get the answer removed, tried to prevent her from answering it. The judge overruled it. And then she had to think for several more seconds. And the best answer she came up with, why did you say he was missing on the 18th when nobody knew he was missing until the 19th? She said, he wasn't responding to my texts and calls, so in my eyes, he was missing. That was a big error on her part. And that sort of tilts this thing back to, I think she and her and her friends may be one of the high suspects in this case. I do not think, it's not a matter of can it be proven one way or the other at this point. I don't think that Zachariah Anderson did this. I don't think he had anything to do with it. Who did it? I don't know. The way I see it, could be Sadie, could be Mike and the other friend that went and tried to intimidate Zach after they found out he was missing, because they showed up mysteriously at his house on the second day too. And it could be this court clerk from Milwaukee, I believe, that was supposed to have had a date with him and allegedly went to a wrong house, was allegedly 40 minutes late. And they were supposed to drive around and whatnot, but she said he never showed up. It could be anybody, but I don't think it's him. Bob B says, why was that a bad answer? It's a bad answer because she told her daughter that her boyfriend was missing before anyone knew the boyfriend was missing. So it's kind of hard to say someone's missing if you don't know he's missing. She just hadn't talked to him in about 12 hours. That was the big deal. Yeah, we don't even know if he's dead yet. I'm willing to presume he's dead. We don't have a body, so we don't know for sure. but I'm willing to say he's dead. I'll give him that. I'll give him death. He's still officially listed as a missing person. Yeah, so her friend was just kind of, her friends weren't helping. She's kind of making it look weak. Now then they had the FBI agent on there that's had what 4 months experience. The FBI agent has 4 months experience, and he had approximately 2 days training in cell phone tower usage. Now let's see, we got a couple super chats here real quick. Chance, thanks for the work distraction. Good help is hard to find. Hey, it's my pleasure. Thank you so much for being the first super chat of the evening. And Daryl Smith says, did you see the issue at the end of yesterday where the witness reported file is missing? Yeah, we're going to be talking about that in just a quick bit. We're kind of going through it step by step here, and we'll get there. That's kind of interesting. The FBI guy, he'd been working for 4 months, and he had 2 days training. And he testified about the possible, probable location of Zach's phone on the 17th and 19th, but nothing big came of that. Then there's the other expert. This other expert that we're gonna look at now. This is kind of the big takeaway. I don't know how much of this will get through because court may or may not start at any time. It could start right at the top of the hour. It could start an hour later. Who knows with the judge? And I hope the judge is more on the ball than he was yesterday. He just kind of seemed out of it a little bit. I mean, just missing questions, not paying attention, misunderstanding what was being said. It wasn't a good day for the judge yesterday. So, all right, let's see here. Why do I have 3 different windows open? That's a good question. Where on earth is my stream area? There we are. Hi, I found myself. I couldn't find myself. All right, this is the very, very tail end of yesterday's court session. And I'm in a pissy, grumpy mood because I was reading the Law and Crime chat while I was watching this, because they said some stuff and I went back and watched it. And the Law and Crime chat is just a bunch of degenerate, ignorant idiots. Ugh. All right. Let's listen to what this guy had to say. And this is the end. This is the tail end of his direct examination and the start of the cross-examination. And then everything goes to hell.
Yeah, so the Find My Device icon on the phone looks pretty much identical to that icon you see towards the top there in green.
So he's looking at Zach's computer and phone and stuff and pulling all these location records and all these other records off of the computer.
Which was titled on this computer 5_8_2020_2117. In your experience, would that mean it's 9:17 p.m. on that same day we just talked about?
Correct.
And what is this, if you know, in terms of location in Kenosha, zoomed in on?
About the 3700 block of 15th apartment
I'm
building.
gonna speed it up. We can speed this up a little bit.
Here, these are the apartment buildings in their parking lot.
And Mr. Gutierrez's apartment was 3709 15th
Little too
Street?
fast.
Correct.
All right. There's a lot of downtime.
Tracking device I found downloaded.
And where did you find this downloaded on that laptop, if you can recall?
It would have been in that kid's or Rosalio Gutierrez folder.
Okay, this was kind of weird. And like I said, I'm willing to almost concede that he might probably be found guilty of stalking. There's some real stalkerish behavior. Like they're talking about this GPS tracking thing, and there's apparently a file on Zachariah's computer called Rosalio, which isn't really normal. But again, stalking does not mean murder at all, in no way, shape, or form. Now he's just talking about the stuff that was on the computer.
And why was this something you flagged as important in this investigation?
After noticing the tracking of the phone and the GPS tracker, it seemed relevant.
So I'm just showing State's Exhibit 31. Obviously, did you know anything about this tracker or any sort of tracking program regarding this?
No.
So you just found this picture in that file?
Yes. There were several video and audio recordings in that folder.
When you say several, how many would you estimate that you noticed in that file folder?
About 3 dozen.
And in terms of the contents of them, did you listen to all of them in full?
No.
And why is that?
Determined there was about 10 or more hours worth of recordings.
Now, did you listen to selective pieces of them to try to figure out what they were recordings of?
Yes.
And in general, in your review of these approximately 3 dozen recordings, what were you able to ascertain was, in general, the contents on them?
Generally, it sounded like a man and woman arguing, mainly over children.
So he's got the videos of them arguing over the kids. There's like, what, a few dozen of them?
In your review, were there any that appeared to be actually recorded by children?
Object speculation.
And that was a dumb question. How do you know if it was recorded by a kid? Because that's the prosecution trying to show that he's using his 12-year-old daughter as a spy. Didn't work. That was a fail on the prosecution's point. Now she's got to think of more questions.
Objection.
To admit states 3 through 35.
Objection.
I'd ask that they, no objections to 3, 4, and 5, and 7. The only objection I have is to Exhibit 31, subject to recross, or to cross.
All right, you can reoffer it at the completion of the cross.
Yeah, I don't mind if the other ones are admitted, though, Judge.
They'll be received.
All right.
I'll show you.
Let's start the cross-examination.
You said you found that when doing a review of the MSI laptop. Was that, you found that when you were doing a manual review of the laptop, or after you did the download and you reviewed the download?
It was during the download review.
So you're looking at your report, the report, or the actual laptop?
So we process the image we get from the laptop with the program, and then that breaks out pictures and messages and certain artifacts. So I'm using a program to examine the image of the hard drive.
And is that program the program that the parties would have access to, which is like the, it's like a link?
I'm sorry, the parties?
Like when you do the download, you put it on a disk or do something so that it's accessible to other people for discovery.
Yeah, so that'll be the program I create the report with.
Okay.
And that's what gets sent to the detectives.
Okay, so in your report, where is that item located?
Be in the images section of the report.
Okay, and if I were to give you your report, and the report is a link, correct?
I believe the report in this one is a HTML file,
Right.
which contains links.
So how's the guy wrote his report in HTML? Well, Microsoft Word doesn't work anymore. He wrote his report in HTML. Okay, 1991 internet wants their report back.
You have to access it through the internet.
You have to access it using a web browser. It's not online.
Okay. So if I were to give you your report for the MSI laptop, would you be able to find that image so you could be definitive whether it's in that report?
Okay, so now this is an interesting thing. This is the beginning of the prosecution's major fuck up. An absolute major fuck up. So she's looking for a picture that's in that the prosecution has said is in the report.
Eventually, computers contain hundreds of thousands, if not millions of images that are going to be in there. I mean, eventually, yes, I would find it. I can't tell you how long that's going to take.
Well, I'll give you my computer.
Bobby Baloney says we use HTML just to load this web page, Jeff. Yeah, but you don't write official police reports in HTML.
So at first, feel free to do with my computer as you wish. Yours for the time being. First, can you let the jury know whether what you're looking at right now is in fact, you don't have to show them, but that is the report?
Yes.
All right. So he's got the report. Excuse me. And he's trying to find these images that the prosecution has said are in the report.
No, not at. So at this time, this is how we generated reports in what's called HTML files. They're extremely large and they run through a web browser. Yours seems to be stuck on this page.
You need to refresh it. Okay.
Yeah, I'm looking. It says it can't find the file anymore.
Can't find the what?
It can't find the report file.
Just have them take the.
And this is why we don't write reports on HTML anymore. One of the reasons. All right. So he's looking for the file. He looks for the file for a long, long time.
Take out pictures. I'm sorry, without being able to filter this, I mean, this could seriously take hours. I mean, I can scroll, yeah. Seems like some of the pictures are missing. To file 3000, it looks like.
Did you hear that? This is the beginning right here.
Scroll, yeah. Seems like some of the pictures are missing.
It seems like some of the pictures are missing. Some of the pictures that the defense are arguing about are missing from the defense's report.
To file 3000, it looks like. Like I said, there's usually hundreds of thousands of pictures on a computer.
He continues to search.
Folder that is.
It might be quicker though.
Oh, we'll get to whose fault it is here in a minute. He's dying in front of the jury. They're watching him search for files in his report.
Almost doesn't seem to be the whole report.
This doesn't seem to be the whole report. That doesn't seem to be the whole report.
Can I have a sidebar, Judge?
Yeah, so yeah, it's not the complete report.
Necessary. You're saying you don't see that image in this report?
The report files don't seem to be complete. So
Okay.
the actual main page of the
The
report.
files don't seem to be
supporting
complete.
Folders that would contain the image aren't in here.
Okay. Judge, can we have a sidebar, please?
Now that's when chaos erupts in the courtroom. Lots of discussions. And now they're getting rid of the jury. The jury is going out. This here is telling because this is the retrial. So let's look at the history of this. The first trial that took place last year, the prosecution gave their opening statement. Next, the defense gave their opening statement. And immediately after the defense gave their opening statement, the defense became aware that the district attorney, the prosecutor, had not turned over information, evidence, which said that the court clerk chick had gone to the wrong house. They had a duty and an obligation to give that evidence and information to the defense, but they didn't. They didn't. In the last trial, the district attorney did not give evidence to the defense. And Judge Schroeder, he granted a mistrial. This case, the prosecution gives their opening statement. And in the middle of the defense's opening statement, the prosecution asks for a mistrial because there was some vague references from the defense that might possibly suggest Sadie had something to do with the disappearance. But we avoided that mistrial. And now we've got to this point. Remember, the first trial ended because the district attorney did not turn over evidence he was supposed to have turned over. In this case, yesterday, they just discovered that the district attorney did not turn over the evidence he was supposed to turn over to the defense. Again, the defense is being hampered by the district attorney's basically unethical behavior, by his shitty, slimy tactics of providing partial reports when he had every duty to give them the exact full report. And this is Judge Schroeder going, we're almost at the end of the prosecution's case. Holy shit, do I have to declare another mistrial? Because again, the district attorney did not turn over documents that they were required to turn over. This is bad. This is really, really, really bad. He's unhappy.
So the report that basically Exhibit 31 is a screenshot of a tracker that the state and the witness have purported and testified to, that was in the folder titled Rosalio, and that photo was in the report. I had never seen that photo before, not included in the report that I have. I had a hard drive from the state, which is here, that contained all of the downloads of the devices in this case. With this witness, I pulled up that report. The witness went through it and just testified that it's not a complete report. This photo cannot be located. The contents of that folder cannot be located in this report that I had. So obviously the defense has an issue now where we are not given a full report. That information I've never had before. I had asked the state where that was located because I couldn't find it prior to today's date. I thought I'd be able to clear things up with this officer or detective, pardon me. And clearly I can't because the defense was never given the full report. So I'd be asking for the full report to be able to go through it, or alternatively, strike all this testimony.
I think counsel will acknowledge that on Officer Morton's report, page 2 of 3 is where I'm referring. I'm looking at paragraph 4, it's full paragraph 4 of Officer Morton's report. He says on April 24th, 2020 at 15:07, a picture of the Rewire Security TK102 Nano GPS tracker, which is the document that we just described, was downloaded to the folder. Also collected in this case was a mini GPS tracking device, goes on to say. So he has indicated in his report, which is dated May 27th, 2020, that this picture was downloaded to the file. So counsel certainly is on notice that a picture of a Rewire Security TK Nano was downloaded and is part of Officer Morton's report. It is the primary report in this case. I don't know if Officer Morton, who said it might take hours, is able to confidently indicate at this stage, I guess we could ask him, he's on the stand, that in fact, he has done a thorough enough look at this that he knows for sure that this document is not in the copy that we have and that the defense has. But I suggest that we either ask him further or we make sure he's had enough time to be sure that the record made, and I have no reason, I'm not casting aspersions. If the defense attorney is saying so far the record indicates that it's not included, I don't know if Officer Morton has done a thorough enough search when he previously testified it would take hours possibly to find this picture.
So this is the DA. This is the district attorney running scared and trying to cover his ass, going, I think we need to, he should be in there. I think we need to give him some more time to look at the files to see whether or not it's really actually there. Yeah, we need to let him look at this some more. And he's thinking, oh dear God, please let him find this file on there.
Whether he has done enough that he is confident that it is not included.
If I may briefly respond, there's a difference between reports that we're talking about. The report the state just referenced was Detective Morton's written report about what he did in this case. That report's not really clear where this alleged photo was accessible from. The report says that he reviewed the folders and saw this picture in there, but the actual report that I'm talking about is the forensic download report created by the detective that has all the files. That report that Attorney Gravely mentioned doesn't have the files. I think the detective's testimony right now was extremely clear that the report that I have that's supposed to contain all the files is not complete. I knew about this written report. I also told the state before today's date and again that I don't know where this picture is located because I can't find it anywhere.
So that answers the question that one of you had. How do they know it wasn't the defense incompetent somehow? It was the drive they got. It was a thumb drive they got from the prosecution. And she told them she couldn't find it. They said it's there. If they had missing data, did they mention it? Yep. She mentioned to the prosecutor that it looked incomplete. So yeah, the answer to that question is yes, she did mention it to him. And she's not going to risk her career by lying to the judge about something like this.
And so even if I'm on notice, that doesn't mean that I have the obligation to ensure that I have a complete and full accurate report. I believe the state's Wachowski, which was just decided by the Supreme Court, that talked about when it's dealing with exculpatory evidence, the defense has absolutely zero burden to seek out that information. So this is an issue. It's come up. We do not have a full report. I'd be asking for the full report to be given to me to be able to review it. So that I can then question effectively on this issue of where that picture is located, when it was taken.
No, hang on.
Was unsuccessful. They could not find the report in the property.
They can't find the police report at the police
Morton
station.
Was able to find the original hard drive download, which he said if he was going to generate a new report would take hours and hours and hours. I had informed him that I was really just concerned with the contents of that specific folder we were talking about, and we did go through the rest of the documents that were in that download directly from the computer hard drive. So I was able to review that. I have a copy of the documents that I requested. I was able to review that last night in its entirety. There were some videos that I was not able to review. However, I don't think that would preclude us from being able to move forward.
Well, what do you think of that?
I think we're ready to go.
Oh, well, that's all's well that ends well, right? Let's proceed. And is the detective still on the stand? All right, ready for the jury?
Yes.
All right, we'll mute this for a quick second and burn through these super chats. So basically, she had to go to the police station. They didn't have it there. She had to go back to the original master disc, found that, downloaded everything, and they got it. So now she has the report. She doesn't need to declare a mistrial. Okay. Flux says, Mocha Dick Poon, XOXO. I went to the law and cuck chat yesterday and called them all stupid. They have no idea what a defense attorney is for, retards. Okay, thanks. Whose fault is it? Prosecution's fault. Corn Pop, Steve, go live chat on their screen. I'll go over. I don't know what that means, But oh, by the way, guys, do not go to Law and Crime and tell everybody to come over here. Don't do that. Law and Crime is very, very cucky about that. They're copyright cucks and they will crush us. Please don't go over there and antagonize people and mention me. That's a good way to get me yeeted completely, which we don't want to do. And Mandalore Wise 01, is it reasonable for the judge to grant a mistrial with prejudice based on the continuing slimy BS? No, mistrial with prejudice. No. And Niklaus Starov, we're actually gonna we were talking tonight. We'll have Nick on here. Nicholas here as a guest today. I mean tomorrow or Monday. We'll see how it goes. We'll work schedules out again. Prosecution didn't bother to double check if the transfer data was correct. Incredibly lazy, especially when you're told that you can't find it. All right. Let's see. Let's get. Oh, that's yesterday. We don't need that. Let me close that. Let me bring this up. All right.
Let's continue with the examination of Detective Morton, and go ahead.
Because Court TV and Law and Crime, they do almost all of the videos for all of the trials that are broadcast out like this. If they sue you, Rick Hayden can be your lawyer. I'd rather not get sued to begin with. That's kind of my game plan.
I beg your pardon?
You ready to go?
Oh, yeah. Fire away.
Thank you, Judge. So yesterday we seemed to have a little debacle about the report that was solved.
Yes, it was.
We were able to locate that back at the police department.
Correct.
In this case, you had completed a device extraction on Sadie Beecham's Samsung Galaxy S9.
Yes, I did.
And you, though, were unable to do a
all right,
SIM
so
card
let the
extraction.
too loud, too soft, turn it up, turn it down, battle begin.
I have to review my report, but
I'd provide you a copy of that report, but it helped refresh your recollection.
yes. Yeah, well, it probably was not a SIM card on the phone.
Well, there would have to be a SIM card in the phone in order for it to work, correct?
Not necessarily.
Maybe you want to flip to that second page and see if that helps refresh your recollection.
It still appears that there was no SIM card in the phone. Let's say SIM card check here.
I know I'm muted. I was muting it so I could listen to the audio on my phone without it coming through the microphone to check the levels.
Okay, correct.
Did that help refresh your recollection?
Yeah, so there was a SIM card. It is, yeah, she needed the phone back, so I did not have time to do it. So it wasn't noted in the report.
Okay, and what's some data you can normally get off of the SIM card?
Nowadays, just the assigned phone number, the subscriber ID. SIM cards are normally just used to access LTE networks at this time.
Okay, and then you also noted in your report from the extraction on Ms. Beecham's cell phone that the GPS location had been turned off, correct? that the phone was encrypted.
Yes.
Can you explain to the jury what it means when a phone is encrypted?
So an encrypted phone is when it's locked or not unlocked so you can access it. All the data on there is encrypted. So if we were to just dump the memory chip from the phone, we really wouldn't be able to analyze it because it's encrypted. So you would need the PIN or the password to decrypt it in order to be able to view the files.
So even, and when you say you're going to dump the download, you have a lot of different software applications that you could use in an attempt to withdraw information or download information from a cell phone, right?
Yes.
And so you're saying that without the passcode, you would not be able to get any information off of Miss Beecham's cell phone?
I don't recall the specific model, but there are ways around encryption.
What are some of those ways?
Using bootloader programs, so like our Celebrate UFED unit.
Being a member of the FBI.
As a way to bypass that encryption or the passcode. We would restart the phone, and prior to the operating system loading, it would inject what's called a bootloader, which would allow access to the data on the phone without actually entering the PIN into the phone.
But that's something that you would still need to have the physical phone for, right?
Yes.
You couldn't do that from a remote location.
No.
When you do phone extractions, if spyware or anything had been uploaded onto a phone, is that something you would be able to see in the data of a phone?
If we're looking for it.
Okay. And in this case, there was no note of any sort of spyware or things of that nature on Miss Beecham's phone that you saw?
I did not run the malware program against it, so I was not looking for any spyware.
Why didn't you run a malware program to look for spyware in Miss Beecham's phone?
It's not a normal course of a case like this.
If someone, though, if you had information that that person claims that they believe someone hacked into their phone, you would want to do a malware search, correct?
Yes, but I was not told that any hacking attempts.
Okay.
Of course, it's live, Corn Pope.
You also completed a device extraction on Motorola Play that was attributable to Mr. Anderson, correct?
Again, I have to read my reports, but that does sound familiar.
Are you referring to the Moto G6? Oh, different.
There's a plate.
Right. I concur, Alan. I do need a drink. Chandler will be here in about 30 minutes, Christina. Right. So they accuse him of stalking. She says, oh, he's stalking me and doing these things. But they don't actually search for the GPS device in the car. I will. I just need to remember to do it.
I'm going to show you, well, strike that, the Motorola Play. Do you remember doing an extraction on that?
I do remember what Motorola is.
Okay.
Recall the exact model or who it belonged to.
You don't remember that?
I'd have to read my report.
Okay.
Me sounding tired? No. I'm feeling great today. but thanks. Hey, Jeffy Bear XOXO. Hey, Flux. What's up? I'm actually feeling pretty darn relaxed today. It was a pretty stress-free day.
So yes, I did examine a Motorola Play belonging to Zachariah Anderson.
Okay,
And?
that phone, you had noted that there did not appear that there was no record that there had been a factory reset of that phone, correct? You need to refresh your recollection on that. It's page 2.
Yes.
Yes, jurors can take notes in this trial. And I hope they're taking very good notes.
It's the.
So I actually did indicate it was factory reset.
What?
The last sentence on page 2.
Did you know when?
No, I did not know the date or time. It was either not recorded or I was not able to find activity to indicate when.
But there were still some items from May and April, correct?
Yes, it looks like there was a picture taken in May.
Can y'all hear my typing? I'm taking notes.
Some emails found from April.
This is one of Zach's
Okay,
3
and then,
Motorola phones.
that device was also, strike that. You also, back to the Motorola G6, you did a, did Detective Valerie also do extractions, to your knowledge?
I can't recall. She was assisting me during this time. Yeah, but I don't recall if she did any extractions on this case. I know there were several devices that were examined.
Okay. You also did an extraction on a tracker device that was located at Mr. Anderson's home, correct?
Yes, I did.
Grab that. Show you 2 exhibits, Defense Exhibit 239, Defense Exhibit 240. Does this look familiar to you?
Yes, it does.
Okay. And that was 239. I'm going to show you Defense Exhibit 240 now. Is this the information for the GPS tracking device that you did the extraction on?
Again, I have to review my report, but if that's a picture of the box, then yes.
I got you.
A lot of numbers.
Hey, Joe. Wow. I'm worried my typing was too loud and Joe shows up. It's almost like I summoned him with my worries.
Yes, it is.
that for this particular device to work, it would need a SIM card inserted into it, correct?
Yes.
And that it didn't appear that there was a SIM card, correct?
No, there was not.
And you also said that the SIM card would need to be registered at http gpsui.net, correct?
Yes.
And that once registered, the device can be accessed either online at the same site or via the Android or iOS app, correct?
Correct.
So in your other extractions that you did, including the MSI laptop, you did not come across any evidence that this GPS device was registered to be used, correct?
Correct.
Judge, at this time, I'd like to move into evidence defense exhibit 239
I like
and
to
240.
move it.
No problem. No objection.
I want to talk to you about the exhibit 31 that the state had, which was this picture of a Rewire security nano tracker, state's exhibit 31.
There's the offending tracking device.
There's certain images where you can determine if it was a screenshot, if it was organically taken, if it was a tool like a snipping tool on the computer. You can determine what kind of file a picture is, correct?
Yes.
So were you able to determine what this was?
Yes. This was a file created by the snippet tool.
Okay.
In Windows.
So that would mean that it could be taken from anywhere that was seen on a computer.
On the screen, correct?
On the screen. That this wasn't a photo that someone had taken themselves.
Correct.
But you didn't you didn't analyze a tracker like this, correct?
No.
Did you look into at all how this type of tracker works?
Not this one.
Okay, so you wouldn't know if this would need to also be registered like the other one with an app.
Correct.
You wouldn't know how the information then would go from the tracker to an individual.
Judge, object because he's already said, I don't know how it works. So to ask multiple questions about what he wouldn't know when he's already answered, he doesn't know how it works, is repetitive and irrelevant based on his first answer. I don't know how it works.
Well, I don't know how the computer works either, but some of the time I'm able to actually operate it.
Well, we know that. Just pinch and zoom, Schrader. Pinch and zoom, brother.
So no.
But regardless that you don't know how it works, don't know how the information gets transmitted or how the information gets accessed, whether it be via an app or anything, you did not find anything on Mr. Anderson's devices that would indicate he was registered to receive information or registered that device, correct?
That device, no.
Yeah, so basically no evidence he tracked anybody.
Examinations on things like
How did this thing get to trial? I don't understand. Well, I do understand, but I don't like what I understand.
PNY drives and a Seagate drive.
I believe so, yes.
but you did not find anything of value on those.
No, I didn't.
You had talked a little bit before about Cellbrite. Can you explain to the jury what that is?
Cellbrite's a company that specializes in obtaining data from mobile devices like cell phones, tablets, and now expanded into computers. So it's a digital forensics company, basically.
And you're aware that there were several Cellbrite downloads done in this case, correct?
Yes, there were.
And one of those was of Mr. Gutierrez's phone.
Yes.
And that one was actually sent out to Cellbrite, the company itself, to complete.
Yes, it was.
And then you received a copy of that report.
I received a copy of the extraction they obtained.
Okay. And can you explain to the jury like what an extraction is?
So it's kind of similar to the hard drive from the computer. So we're just extracting data from the memory chip on the phone. Then that eventually gets processed in a program to be able to see what's on that memory card.
The state is expected to rest on probably Thursday afternoon.
Gutierrez's phone. You have done how many Cellbrite extractions in your career?
Thousands.
And you've reviewed Cellbrite extractions. How many?
Yeah.
Thousands? Okay. So you know all the terminology, the things to look for, things of that nature.
Yes.
Okay.
That was loud. That was loud too. Joseph, I sent you a link if you want to.
As start with that one. Defense Exhibit 298. So this is a portion of Mr. Gutierrez's Cellbrite report. I apologize. This is like terribly terrible as it relates to
terribly terrible
quality. Can you see everything up there okay?
Yes.
Okay, does this look familiar to you, the layout?
It does.
So does this look like something from a Cellbrite download?
It'd be, yeah, a report generated from physical analyzer.
Okay, so this is just a page, so it doesn't have on the top what it is, but if you see in all the action, it said all the action says launch, correct? From what you could see, and I'm focused on the highlighted ones.
Additional info launch reasons.
I'm sorry?
Under additional info,
No,
is that what you're talking about?
under action.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, the one's highlighted. Yes, it does.
Can you explain to the jury what that means?
In that particular instance, here's the SMS app was launched.
I'm sorry, the what?
SMS app, the short messaging system, the texting.
And what does that mean when something is launched, that the SMS system on the phone was launched?
Opened.
It was opened, okay.
Activated.
Activated. And so could you tell the jury at what time the mobile messaging was accessed or activated on Mr. Gutierrez's device, the first highlighted, actually the bottom one, so this one first.
May 17th, 2020.
At what time?
9:23 a.m.
AM or PM?
Oh, I'm sorry, PM.
Okay. And then the mobile app, the SMS messaging on his phone was also accessed again. It was launched at 9:24:23 p.m. on May 17th, 2020, correct?
Yes.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as Defense Exhibit 296. I'm going to go up here first. So again, Consistent with Cellbrite download data?
Yes, it is.
Okay, and this says device events. Can you explain what device events are to the jury?
They're powering events, or in this case, orientation events, which is when your phone's rotated.
Okay, so we're going to
But what
start
if
in
you
the
threw it
bottom
like
here.
a frisbee? Would that bring the screen on? I'm
So
not
this
sure.
says that Mr. Gutierrez's cell phone was unlocked at 9:26:24 p.m. on May 17th, 2020, correct?
Correct.
And then there's some other things: display on, display off, display on, display off, display on. Not going to do wax on, wax off, but you get it.
Yes.
This could just be these displays on, these displays off, could just be when the iPhone's face is lighting up, correct?
Correct.
That doesn't mean that someone's physically doing something, correct? Okay. And
But what if
then
it's done aggressively?
at 10:10 p.m. on May 17th, 2020, the phone has an orientation change, right?
Yes.
Which means
For
the record, I'm handing the examiner my cell phone so we can demonstrate to the jury what that means.
So an orientation change will just be when you rotate the phone, landscape or portrait.
Do it aggressively.
Okay.
Do
So
it aggressively.
It means a
See what
physical
happens.
change of the phone.
Right.
Okay.
Throw it like a frisbee. Get that
And
one
that happened
guy.
at 10:44 p.m.
Yes.
And this is for Mr. Gutierrez's phone.
Yes.
Get that one guy who just knocked it around the office and flipped it off the desk and dropped it and threw it against the wall all day long. Yeah, that guy.
Part of a Cellbrite download too is you can get location data, correct?
At times, yes.
Places, sometimes the phone doesn't have location data turned on, right?
Right, it depends on every phone's different.
So if it isn't on, you're not going to have the data. If it is on, you will have the data.
Possibly.
And that would give you device locations, correct?
Correct.
So where the device physically is.
Correct.
Where a cell phone, or in this case, where Mr. Gutierrez's phone physically was.
Yes, if there's a location.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as Defense Exhibit 297. I'm probably going to have to hand this to you, but first, this is real small lettering. Does this look familiar to you?
Yes.
Okay, and you'd agree that this is on the Cellbrite app itself, the
Cellbrite reader.
The Cellbrite reader, and that's a software program that's accessible on a desktop.
Correct.
Okay, and this is I'm going to hand you it so you can. I'm going to hand you a different copy. I'm handing him the same copy that just so you can read it. So this is the device locations for Mr. Gutierrez's cell phone, correct? Just
For a cell phone, it is.
Yeah. And this, if we look at the location data that's on the right-hand side of the document, I'm going to zoom in so you might be able to see it on the screen now, but you might still want to read it there. And so this says that Mr. Gutierrez's phone was at these specific positions on, this is for April 26th, 2020 at 9:29 p.m., correct?
Not necessarily.
Well, it's saying that this is the device locations, right?
Yep. So the way to celebrate reports locations, it's really complex. So you got to take everything into account. You can't just look at a date and time and a location and say the phone was there. For example, if you receive an email that contains an address in it, that's going to show up as a location in Celebrate. Doesn't mean the phone was ever there. It just means celebrate while processing that, recognize the location and put it in the locations category.
But in this case, it could be. You don't know.
I couldn't say.
Okay. But we do know that we do have this data, right?
Yes.
And this data says that the device location on 4/26/2020 at 9:29 p.m. was at 6813 Highland Road, Mequon, Wisconsin, correct? That's what the data says.
Objection. He's already characterized that as the data says that that address is of note at that time. He did not say that the data says the phone is located there.
I'm saying this is, okay, so I'm simply saying what the report says, what the data says.
Well,
that this is device, it literally says device locations. Now I'm going into what the location, what it says. I'm not asking him to speculate. I'm simply asking him that this is what this data says.
Well, the exhibit speaks for itself.
Okay, I just want to get in the address, though, Judge. So,
I imagine it speaks for itself.
okay. I'd still like him to read it. I don't think that's an impermissible question if I ask him to read the address. May I do so?
Well, you know, it'll take less time for you to do that than it will to argue over it, so go ahead.
Thank you. So the address here that's listed is 6813 Highland Road, Mequon, Wisconsin, correct?
Correct.
Judge, I'd like to move into admittance defense exhibits 296, 297, 298.
Is there objection? No objection. This is
I have no further questions, subject to recross.
Officer Morton, when you downloaded Ms. Beecham's cell phone, did you have the PIN? Or did you have to use this brute force attack, if you can recall?
I believe it does have the PIN for hers.
And that would be something she would have to provide to you because you wouldn't have a way of guessing that?
Normally, yes.
You've done thousands of Celebrite downloads. Is it unusual to have GPS location data turned off on a phone?
No.
More common now that people are aware of it. So yeah, in the last 5, 6, 7 years, we see it awful lot.
You see the GPS
Turned off a lot, yes.
And is that something you would specifically do in your phone for some specific reason, or?
I'm going to object as far as relevance.
And
You
speculation.
open the door to the fact that the
Well,
GPS location.
I'm glad you hadn't finished your question. Go ahead. Is that something you would typically do?
Is that something you would have to physically do to the phone to turn off the location data?
Yes,
And that's become more prevalent in the last several years?
in my experience, yes.
You were showed defense exhibit.
Well, it saves data and battery, and it also doesn't let
296.
everybody know where you are.
Specifically
Which is why
talking
I
about
turned it.
orientation change and what that meant. Do you recall that?
Yes.
I'm going to put this back up.
Screw letting companies know where I am.
Now this says orientation changed to landscape at 10:10 p.m. on May 17th. Is that accurate?
Yes.
And the end time for that was 10:44:18. Is that accurate? Or
16 maybe, but
16, I apologize.
within 2 seconds, yes.
And end time, would that mean that something has now changed on the phone, so now it's the orientation hasn't been changed again because we don't see notice of that, just something's changed?
From this report, I would say something's changed.
And for instance, if a phone were to die, where, you know, it's in a position and then it simply runs out of battery. Would we see something like this where it just ends, but it doesn't say anything about a different orientation?
Yeah, it really would depend on the phone.
Do you notice one level up that the next time, the next event on this device events says May 28th, 2020, that it's powered on? Is that accurate?
Yes.
So obviously in order for it to be powered on, would it have first had to have been powered off or
Correct.
battery died?
Yes.
And in your experience with phones, are there certain environmental conditions that can cause a battery to die quicker than simply running out?
Cold weather, coldness.
So if a phone were, say, found in a freezer, would the coldness of that freezer potentially cause the phone to die?
Yes.
Is he a battery expert? Is he a battery expert? I don't think so. My keyboard, Barbie. I was taking notes for a brief second there.
In terms of orientation changing, if you were to place a phone in a freezer or set it down in the freezer, would that then change potentially the orientation of that device from upright to landscape?
Potentially.
You were talking about this tracker picture that was located on the MSI laptop, states 31. And you indicated that this was captured via the snippet tool that we talked about yesterday?
Correct.
So in order for this to be captured, the person doing the capturing would have to see this image somewhere, this picture somewhere,
Yes, it'd be on the screen.
and then decide to capture that image,
That's what a screen capture is.
and then decide where to save that image on the laptop.
Correct.
So it wouldn't just automatically go somewhere. You'd have to make those sets of decisions to have this appear on the laptop like it did.
Yes.
All right. There you go. Let's see if we can get through a couple of these before she asks the next question. Oh, we already got Flux saying, "Hey, Jeffy Bear XOXO." Got that already. And Hugh Jass, so thank you so much for your super chat. Subscribe to Lon Cuck so I could dislike their stream. By the way, they currently have less than 200 likes with over 3,000 watching. I just checked. Now they have like 300 likes and about 4,500 people watching. While here, we've got 1,751 of you watching and 935 likes. So that's some good ratio, but still not good enough. That just means like 800 of you aren't doing your job. Those of you that haven't hit the like button, while we have this little pause in the audio, I would be just deeply honored if you would reach down there and just hit that like button. And if you would give a thought to subscribing, I would appreciate that as well. We're doing lots of trials. There's several trials on the horizon. We got Courtney Clenny, we've got Sarah Boone, we've got the Taylorship Business, and a bunch more trials coming up, and we'll be covering all of those as well as other legal and other pop culture-y sort of stuff and whatever tickles my particular fancy. So hit the like and subscribe, and then take our like and subscribe poll. Currently, we've got 18% of you said you hit the like and subscribe with a stabbing motion. 23% of you said like Munch hitting a crack pipe. 25% of you said like a clerk late for a date. And 34% of you said yes, you hit it with a blunt force weapon. So thank you. We'll check back in another hour and see where we are on that particular poll. But yeah, please hit that like and subscribe. I would appreciate it. And for those of you that are wondering where Chandler is, she should be here any minute now. She said she was gonna be here about 25 minutes ago. Then she had to change that to the top of the hour. We're coming up on the top of the hour, so expect her here in a few moments. And for those of you playing at home, Good Logic Joe said he might pop in a little bit later. And at some point, we're also expecting Natalie Wisco to stop in and say hi. Oh, perfect timing. Gee.
Nothing, Judge.
Give me a stick down, sir.
All right, he's done. Corn Pop, thank you so much for the sticker. Maybe they will call the sled agent as an expert witness, says Squizgar 2322. And Nicholas, who will also be our guest tomorrow if he's available, and Monday if not.
Your Honor, minor child is the next witness.
Oh, Jesus, they're calling his daughter.
Beware, are there any other adjustments that folks have made to the
God dang it. I fucking hate the prosecution now.
All right, so we're bringing her up. Minute or two.
Oh, dang. Nicholas Starr of Union Rep Labor Law. If the phone throwing guy shows up on state's redirect, I'm going to need a new keyboard and mouse, possible new screen. I can just feel it right here in my chest. I'm feeling a way about this. We always knew they were going to call her. They said they were going to call the 11, now 12-year-old girl to the stand. The district attorney is calling a 12-year-old girl who was most likely coached about how to testify by her mother, who's trying to put this guy in jail for the rest of his life, to testify against her father. This is a shitty thing the district attorney's doing. Oh, she's 14 now. I thought she was 11. I guess she would be 14. Oof, seriously, my chest is like knotting up. I'm furious. I'm literally just enraged right now. And Vince Clortho, a new member. Thank you, Vince. Thank you. I'm glad you finally taken the step. Nicholas Starr says, do you wear a smartwatch on your right wrist? Yesterday it counted 750 steps in 9 minutes. It's a Whoop like health tracker thing. That's what I wear on my right wrist. And it wouldn't be never mind. Thank you, Vince Clortho. Appreciate that. And Nicholas, thank you. You got that out of the way. All right, now what they're going to do is, if I recall correctly, they're going to have the camera pointed probably at the state seal or the ceiling or something. Because they're not going to show her. I don't even know if they'll have her audio. I honest to God don't. Yep, the testimony of this witness has been redacted. So we're not going to see it. We're not even going to get the audio. She's a minor, so we don't even get to hear it. All right. Well, now, wonder what to do. Will they have a transcript? I hope so, because I'd like to know what's said. I'd like to know what's being said. So I hope we can get a transcript out there from somewhere. Oh, it's not suspect. I mean, this is Agony Goose says, but it would be transcript. Surely seems very suspect. No, there will be trial transcripts of it. Just whether they're made available to the general public, I don't know, because she's a minor child. She's a minor talking about these things. So that's why they haven't been able to say her name, even though the DA said it twice and the mother said it once. I think the mother said it twice. But anyway, yes, they're protecting the minor child by not having her voice, not having her image broadcast out to the universe. Leaney says, when I thought the DA couldn't be more slimy, they bring 14-year-olds on the stand. Bless his heart. Yeah. And again, maybe they'll give us only audio. No, apparently not. Said this testimony has been redacted for legal reasons. Not the video, just the entire testimony. We are out in the dark until they decide we're not. Let's check in on Law and Crime's chat to see what they're up to. Law and Crime chat always amuses me. Right. Well, we'll reboot this here. Let's see if we can embiggen the chat. Because their chat's always fun. that actually started to make me angry. Here we go. Go away. Let's see how we're going to do this. We scroll down this way. I guess we can do it this way. I think she's been manipulated by her mother. Oh, see, this is an interesting thing. There are some people that are last time they did a poll that I saw, it was about 60% were saying guilty. So that means about 40% of Law and Crime have been convinced that this guy might be innocent, which is a really, really high number for Law and Crime. Because usually they're like 90% guilty. More like manipulated by her father. How could her father manipulate her? Her father's been in jail for the last 2 or 3 years. Of course, the girl was coached by Sadie. Wow, there's some people talking sense in here. I'm not used to seeing that. Audio is only used in some trials. Ice cream is lame. Will we get a transcript of all the daughter's testimony? Yeah, we don't know if we don't know if we will get the testimony, but there will be a transcript made. Rob is in chat and would like a recap. Gee, Rob, where do we start? Yeah, there. I guess we can. Hi, Adriana, over there in Law and Crime chat. Stop it, guys! I'm serious. Now, see, now I've got to turn this off because you're doing that. I told you we don't want to bring down any unnecessary wrath on us. Stop. Seriously. All righty, hang on here. Yep, Chandler is here. Hi, Chandler.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
How's it going?
It's going well, but I had to stop our Law and Crime stream. Guess let's get rid of that. I don't want to get down there in the cage.
Yeah, you don't want to be in that cage. What happened?
Oh, they're the daughter's testifying, so they're not showing anything.
That's probably
no
better.
Audio, no video. Yeah.
I mean,
don't know if or when they'll make transcripts available, but yeah, they're just not doing anything. So we just gotta sit back here, and God knows how long they're gonna make her testify.
Well, I truly feel for that little girl. I feel very bad for her. I know she's a young teenager now, but it's, she's still a minor, and the fact that they said her name in court is really problematic. Like the least they can do is not televise it. I'm glad that they didn't do that. Mm-hmm. And as much as this is important testimony, it's probably better to keep her from that kind of exposure.
Well, there's no chance they would show her face on this time. Being a minor child, but sometimes they'll turn the camera away and put the audio. But I guess Judge Schroeder's just said no.
I've seen it happen where they'll focus on like their hands or something like that. Like they'll kind of pan the camera down so you don't see the face, but you still see them testifying.
Yep. All we get here is this statement. The testimony of this witness has been redacted for legal reasons.
Well,
that's all we get from that.
It's like the one thing that they're doing right in this trial. I just wish that she didn't have to testify at all. I feel like it's really problematic, but that's just me. I mean, there are so many problems with this trial.
Yeah. Gosh. Well, we have an undetermined amount of time.
All right. Well, I've been watching a little bit this morning. I saw the testimony of, I believe, that the detective who was talking about the Cellbrite data.
Yeah. First of all, how are you doing? You were nigh unto death yesterday.
Oh God, yeah, I'm doing a lot better. Thank you for asking. I had a little bit of a problem with my migraine medication. It has this effect where it keeps you awake for like 24 hours, and I was really exhausted. But a good steak was the cure, so I'm glad about that. I'm definitely feeling a lot better. I was just sorry that I missed the testimony yesterday. I was really disappointed, but I slept a lot, and I'm feeling almost 100% recovered.
That's good. I'm trying to see if we can see what court TV is doing. Day 10. I don't know if they're doing it live or not. Watch live. Okay, they're just oh wait a minute. What?
What are you seeing?
They're showing it on court TV.
Oh, they are?
Hang on.
So it's just a decision that Law and Crime decided to make to not show it?
Other than you and your dad, who else went?
Nobody.
Okay. So you indicated that your 4-year-old brothers were on this visit. Where were they when you and your dad went to this other location?
Upstairs at the Mequon house sleeping.
They remained there?
Yes.
Okay. And where did your dad and you go?
To my mom's house.
And where was your mom living at the time?
In Germantown.
And about how far a drive that was that, if you know?
15, 20 minutes, not too bad.
Okay. And about what time did you leave the house? What's your estimate on when you left the house?
I'm not sure exactly, but I remember waking up around maybe 12:53, 12:57, somewhere in there.
In the AM, the early morning hours?
Correct.
Okay. And so when you went at that time, what do you remember happening next?
Yes, Nathan, see, I know we're watching it.
We arrived at the house and we pulled into the parking, our driveway, of course. And he said to me, no, we're not going to park here. And he backed out. And then he went into the bar parking lot, and there's ones that are in the back and they're closest to the house. And he gets out.
When you say he, who do you mean?
Zachariah Anderson.
Then what happened?
He jumps onto the porch and looks through my mom's window with a camera.
Let me stop you. When you said jumps onto the porch, of what location?
My mom's.
And when you said he, who did you mean jumped on the porch?
Zachariah Anderson.
Then what happened?
And then he is looking through the window, recording with not a camera, like a phone recorder, but a handheld recorder.
Okay. Then what happened next?
Comes down eventually after a little bit, puts another phone into the air conditioner.
Okay, stop. Let me stop you. The air conditioner is located where?
On the side of the house that I was on.
Okay, why would, so the air conditioner is connected to what room of the house, if you know?
My mom's room.
Okay, and when you say puts it in the air conditioner, tell me more what you mean by that.
There was like an opening, so coming out from looking on the outside of the house,
right?
There was the air conditioner coming out, and there was like a space around it, and it had insulation in there, like cushioning insulation, and the phone was put back far enough to see if there could be a recording of something.
And could you see that from where you were located?
Yes.
Okay, and where were you located when that was happening? When your dad was placing a phone recording device in the ventilation there?
I was sitting in the car.
Then what happened next?
And then he came to the car and asked me if I would like to see it, and I said yeah.
Okay, who's he?
My dad.
Okay. I'm going to refer to that individual as the defendant, just for purposes of our discussion.
Oh, to the daughter.
Okay,
Come on.
so when the defendant came in and back to the car, did you what
Calling
happened
her dad
next?
the defendant.
I said sure.
Okay.
And I went up with him, and we went to the window. We walked around the balcony this time, and we went up the stairs, and we went to the window. And he looks at me and he says, before you do anything, go like this with your shirt to make sure that you don't get the breath marks on the window.
So I'd just like to have the record reflect that the witness, Your Honor, pulled their shirt up, blocking their ability to sort of breathe on objects, covering their nose and mouth.
Her, yes.
Okay. So then after you were advised of that by the defendant, what's the next thing that happened?
I saw I don't know how to refer to him.
Whatever you're comfortable.
Dad.
Mr. Gutierrez, I guess.
Okay.
Oh, not that guy. Sorry.
And I saw him sitting on the couch with my mother coming out of the bathroom.
Scared me. I thought she was talking about her dad. I missed that.
And
My bad. Yeah, this is Binger's boss, the district attorney.
I didn't think that was gonna be this hard. They were listening to music and laying there together.
And doing what together?
Just laying there on the couch.
Okay. So what room are you looking into from where your vantage point is?
The living room. There was a space in between the curtains.
Okay. And what window of your mom's place are you looking through to be able to see into the living room?
What do you mean by that?
Well, you're on the outside, correct?
Correct.
So which window? Is it a window that goes into the kitchen? Is it a window that looks directly in the living room? So what?
It's a window that looks directly into the living room.
Okay. And where is the defendant during that period of time?
Standing next to me. Okay.
And after you look in and see that, what is the next thing that happens?
We leave.
What? You leave?
We got back in the car and we were on our way out, and he didn't grab the voice recorder at first until he pulled out and pulled onto the road, and he stopped. He stopped right at the second entryway to our driveway and got out, took his sandals off, and went to the house.
So let me stop you. What footwear then was your?
He didn't have shoes on.
Okay, cool. Keep going.
He went into Mr. Gutierrez's car and took his registration and took a picture of his license plate.
Okay.
And
I'm sorry, you saw that from where you were in the car?
yes, I personally saw that.
Then what happened?
And I saw him ring the doorbell, and then run back to the car and drive away.
Whose doorbell did he ring?
My mother's, but he also had grabbed the phone while he was somewhere in the time period from when he rang the doorbell, the phone was grabbed.
And which phone are you referring to now?
I'm the one that was placed in the air conditioner.
Okay. So after the defendant goes to Mr. Gutierrez's truck, takes a picture and takes an item out of the vehicle or takes registration, grabs back the phone, and he rings the doorbell, what does the defendant do next after he does those three things?
Comes back to the car with the phone.
All right. And then what happens?
Plays the phone.
Okay.
Of course, plays a recording on our way home.
Okay. And what, if anything, can you say about what you could hear on that phone recording?
Nothing.
Okay. So where do you guys go next?
Back to my dad's house.
Okay. When you get back, what happens next?
I walk in. He tells me to get some sleep. I then was sitting downstairs and thinking about what just happened, because I was a little like, did I really just see what I saw, what I just witnessed? And it was fine after that, I guess. And
so let me ask you, what did the defendant do next that you saw? So after you guys got home, what happened next, if anything?
he dropped me off and then he left again.
Okay. And you were not with him at that time?
No, I don't remember what time that was. We got back around 3 though.
Did he tell you what he was going to do next before he left?
No.
Okay. So now, if I understand you, by now it's 3 a.m. on your actual 12th birthday.
Yes.
Okay.
God, I hate the way he questions. Fuck him. I mean, just well, like Law and Lumber Raw was saying, could he be any more aggressive with talking? He can't even slow down.
Can you indicate
make his voice a little soft and
what, if
gentle, a
any,
little fucking
plan
empathy for this kid.
was ever suggested to you to try to get your mom in trouble?
Yes.
What plan was suggested?
The plan was for, now this might be a little confusing. The plan was for my dad to drive me and my little brothers to the house, and then...
To whose house?
My mom's house.
Okay.
And then he would put the boys to bed, and he would drive all the way back to his house, call the cops from there, and say, my daughter just called me, and I would have to call my mom, but not make it ring. So I had to call her, but the phone wouldn't be able to ring. It just had to ring on my phone to prove that that her phone was called. Only on my end, though. So it would show that I had called her several times and she didn't answer. So that's the look.
Who was supposed to do that? Who was supposed to do that part of the plan? Okay, and is this on a day that you wouldn't have been at your mom's house?
No, this would have been a day where I would have been at my dad's house, and my mom would be out.
Okay.
And the plan was basically to call the cops and say how my mom abandoned us.
All right.
And how I had to call my dad.
Okay. And who suggested this plan?
My dad.
And when he suggested this, what age were you?
10, 11.
And so I want to take you back to a time period before that April 24th birthday time period and ask, was there a time in the month of March of 2020 when your mom went on vacation without you?
Yes.
And during the first nights that your mom went on vacation, where were you going to stay? What was the plan on where you were staying?
I would stay at home at the house with my aunt.
Okay, and who was taking care of you?
My aunt.
And who's that?
My Becky.
Becky? Okay. And do you know, is Becky actually related to you or just a close friend of your mom's?
No, she's like my mom's sister, though. So she's not really my aunt, but...
But you call her that?
Yeah.
Okay. So she was staying overnight with you guys?
Yeah.
Okay. And during the time period that Becky was staying with you guys overnight in your mom's house, did something happen that caused you to be either disturbed or alarmed on a particular time?
Yes.
So if you can you tell me about what time of day? What's your best estimate on what time of day that happened?
It was pretty late at night. I mean, it was more like early morning. It was really, really, really early in the morning.
Okay. So can you give me an estimate on what time?
Maybe between 2, 3, and 4.
Okay.
Somewhere.
And if you know, was it a school night?
Yeah.
Okay. And were your 4-year-old brothers also at the residence?
Yes.
Okay. So what happened at some time between 2 and 4 in the morning at your residence that caused you to be disturbed? And I'm only asking about what you personally had happen.
Okay. I remember kind of waking up to footsteps up the stairs.
Okay.
And then I kind of drifted back off into a sleep, and then Dad was standing at the side of my bed, and he was like, "Get up for school, let's go." And I was like, "What?" And I was really confused, and then I was like, "Okay," because at that time, what am I gonna do? I mean, my parents telling me to get ready at 4 o'clock in the morning, so I don't really know what the point of it was, but he had made breakfast.
So what time did you eat breakfast on this particular day in March of 2020?
I don't know. We had French toast and eggs, and the time wasn't very clear.
Was it before 4:30 in the morning?
Most definitely.
Okay, and you ate. Who else ate?
My 2 little brothers.
And how did they happen to get up and have breakfast at that time on a school day?
My dad came into our rooms and woke us all up.
Had you been expecting your dad in any way, shape, or form to arrive?
No.
Okay, so let me ask you, if we get to a point where you on a Sunday go to the family tree farm, do you remember that?
A little, yeah.
Okay, and what vehicle got you to the family tree farm?
The van.
So
and is
what
this
was
a
the big deal
regular
about making
vehicle you have
breakfast?
that you know
It was
of, that
early.
you are familiar with?
Yeah.
So who usually operates that van?
The defendant.
Okay, and if you saw a picture of that van, you'd recognize it, you believe? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to show you a picture up on the screen in just a second.
So it's State's Exhibit 1.
And this is State's Exhibit
This
1.
is not sitting well with me at all.
And I'm just asking if you think you recognize this vehicle.
He looks really fucking confused. I mean, like legit confused, bewildered.
Yes.
Yeah, you can see his
And
emotions.
whose
on his
vehicle
face.
is that?
The defendant's.
Is that the van you were mentioning?
Yes.
And so who went in that van to the tree farm, if you remember? Again, I'm talking about on a Sunday, May 17th.
Me, the defendant, and my
I'm
2
going
brothers.
to object that you just said Sunday, May 17th.
I apologize. What?
Oh, it bothers me that she calls him defendant and not dad. No.
Yeah.
But yeah. Either she's doing it because the prosecutor said he was going to refer to her as dad, or she's just been brainwashed. Either way, I don't like the fact that he's calling the defendant in front of the defendant's daughter. That's just unnecessary, evil, and bullshit.
No, it's a very unsavory feeling to,
So on
to
that
hear
weekend,
that.
okay, apologize. On that weekend,
There's an objection.
yeah, I'm altering the question. So I'm,
Well, what weekend are you talking about?
what? I was about to say.
Specify the weekend.
Yep. On the weekend of May 16th and May 17th, okay, of 2020, you went to the tree farm, correct?
Correct.
And you went in that van?
Correct.
Okay. Who drove it?
The defendant.
And if you recall, what were the state of the seats in the van?
There were
State the seats.
2 middle seats, 3 back seats, and 2 front seats.
Okay. And do you remember which seats were in on this particular weekend?
Yeah.
Do you remember? So if you remember, which ones?
Well, not the middle ones, just the back ones and the front ones.
Okay. And who on the trip to the tree farm, where did you come from? So what residence did you come from to drive to the tree farm?
My dad's house.
Okay. And so where were the twins in that van?
The back seats.
And where were you?
In the front seat.
Okay. And do you remember any items that your father, that the defendant also put in the van?
Just a chainsaw.
Okay. And so was that in the van as well?
When?
When you went there?
Yes.
Okay. So about, if you know, approximately how long were you at the tree farm? About?
4 hours.
Okay. And during the time you were there, did you, what if anything did the defendant borrow from anybody else?
I'm going to object as far as foundation. He just asked that, what did Mr. Anderson borrow?
What, if anything, he said? Did Mr. Anderson borrow?
Yeah, but we're not taking what
Correct,
if
and so
any.
I'm objecting as far as foundation for that question. Hasn't been established what she was doing at the tree farm, who she was with, what she had the opportunity to observe. That's just the objection.
Well,
So what, if anything, did the defendant borrow while at the tree farm that you were present for?
Just my grandfather's boots.
Okay. Are those work boots?
Yes.
Okay. And ultimately, where were those work boots when you guys left the tree farm?
I don't remember.
Okay. Did you tell law enforcement at some point that the boots were brought home with you guys in the van?
Most definitely.
Okay. So when you came home from the tree farm, what transportation did you use to get home?
The van.
And who drove?
My dad.
And was there any difference in who was seated where?
No.
So on that weekend of the 16th and 17th, did you have an opportunity to see how the rug was in the back of this van?
Yes.
Carpeting. Okay. So I'm going to show you a picture.
Well, they're actually asking about the carpeting. That's
Yeah.
And this is picture one.
States Exhibit 1-260.
So this is Exhibit 1-260. Do you notice that there's something cut out in the van in this picture?
Yes.
And was that area cut out when you and your little brothers went to the tree farm on the weekend of May 16th and May 17th of 2020?
No.
Gee, that contradicts
Let me show you
directly the
another
other
picture.
witness that said it was.
When you were in this van on the weekend of May 16th and May 17th, what, if any, smell of bleach did you smell in
Oh,
that
come
van?
on.
No, and those stains were not there either.
So you see some stains on this picture, and again, this is Exhibit.
States Exhibit 1257.
So those stains were not on the van.
No.
When did you last see the van where you looked inside it? Was it on the Saturday or the Sunday, if you remember?
No.
Just on that weekend?
Yeah.
Okay. And the last time you saw that van, in terms of the interior of the van, was when you came back from the tree farm? Or did you guys go elsewhere after that, if you remember?
No, we just stayed at the house and waited for Mom to pick us up.
Now,
Oh my God. Ugh.
so on that Sunday, did the defendant drop you off at your mom's, or did your mom come and pick you up, if you know?
No, my mom came and picked me up.
And when your mom came and picked you up, do you recall what the defendant was wearing in terms of outerwear? Do you remember that?
Yes.
So we're going to show you State's Exhibit 42. So first, can you first tell us what you remember that he was wearing? Please, before you show it.
He was wearing a white tee with jeans, sandals, his usual, and a blue flannel.
Okay. So I'm now going to show you what's been marked as, one more time, State's Exhibit. Can you make that a little smaller? Thank you. Do you recognize what that's a picture of in the context of this case?
Yes.
What is that?
My dad.
Okay. And in terms of what the person is wearing, what the defendant's wearing, is that familiar to you based on what you've said today?
Oh, yeah.
What is that?
His blue flannel jacket.
Is that the same blue flannel that you're saying that he was
I
wearing?
saw on that day, yes.
Okay.
No, but I didn't even realize either, and I like when you
What?
During this time period, when you were at the tree farm in that time period of mid-May of 2020, what, if anything, can you say about whether your father was discussing a boyfriend of your mom's?
Yes.
Okay, so when you saw the defendant, how often during that time period? So let's start from like March of 2020 until this tree farm visit, how often when you saw him would he discuss with you your mom's boyfriend or this person that might be your mom's boyfriend? How often?
Pretty frequently.
And what did he call this new person in your mom's life? Did he have names that he called him or not?
Yes, there were, but it would be disrespectful for me to say them in this courtroom in front of his mother.
So I'm asking that you say the names. So what if any names do you recall specifically? Thank you for.
Well, that didn't sound coached.
Not at fucking all. Why did we mute this?
Did he say, if he did he explain to you why he was calling Rosalio Gutierrez or this person, the new boyfriend of your mom's, Booger?
Well, of course, the first one is because of,
I'm asking about Booger.
well, when he looked through the window at my mom's house on the morning of my birthday, he saw him apparently.
Hey, Joe.
pick
I got
his
here
nose
just in
and
time
sit
for
on
Booger.
There's couch,
Yeah.
and so it was a thing for a while that we wouldn't sit on the couch. It was really just. It was a very odd situation, I guess. I don't know how to explain it.
And after that time,
I feel so bad for this girl.
How often was the name Booger? Did it come from your from the defendant's mouth talking to you?
It was used in a joking manner if he was joking around about it, but other than that, it wasn't very used.
Okay. And did your what, if anything else, did you hear about your about whether the defendant planned
I'm
on?
going to object to leading.
Well, it's.
I have to get her there somehow, Judge. I'm not. Again, I'm not.
Leading is not among the permitted methods ordinarily, except in exceptional circumstances. He hadn't finished his question, so I don't know where he's going. So you can finish your question.
What, if anything else, did the defendant say?
And we are going to let him finish that question on the other side of this break that we do have to squeeze in.
Oh my
but don't
God.
worry, we are hitting the pause button.
Great. Shut up.
Seriously? They're going to interrupt testimony to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Apparently. I just got to find out where the goddamn
Joe.
volume is. There it is.
Hi, Chandler. How are you?
How you doing?
I met you once before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You came on stream.
Here.
Was it for this trial?
I think so. Yeah, I think this trial.
Back in the
We'll
early
get some
days of
You're
this
done.
trial.
I'm an old man. I forget stuff very quickly. That's what
Don't
the
worry, I
grade
forget
tells you.
stuff too.
All right.
I forget things all the time.
Man,
So-
this just sucks that this girl has to testify against her father after 2 years of clearly being coached by her mother.
Yeah. How much of this is character testimony that's being
This is-
veiled as like let's get to the facts. Let's get to the facts.
I
As you
think
tell
it's
us
all
what
for
we'll put-
facts.
Yeah.
Because he's charged with stalking, and she's been discussing the stalking, and murder and hiding a corpse.
Okay.
Now, let's quickly burn through these super chats here. God, my just. Oh, now Law and Cuck is showing it. Fuck me. Come on, people, make up your mind who's showing what around this part of town. Law and Crime wasn't showing it, then suddenly they were.
They saw how popular you were. They were like, we can't have someone doing that. We gotta show it ourselves.
Well, now they're showing it again. So damn it. Hang on. But I think it's just shitty. And he's Law and Lumber Rob was mentioning too. He's just being so unnecessarily aggressive with his own witness, who's a 14-year-old girl testifying against her
14.
father. Yeah, she was 11 and 12 when all this shit was going on.
She might actually be 13. I think I saw somebody mention she's not quite 14.
I'm glad that she's not on camera.
Yeah. It's still awful though.
My dad said to me, he said, I may just watch him or follow him to his house one time just for the fun of it. Those were his exact words to me.
Whisper. Yeah.
You indicated that you saw your dad take something out of a truck and take a picture of a license plate back on the April 24th into 25th of 2020, correct?
Correct.
After that, did you see any items in possession of the defendant that were from that same incident?
That did not belong to him?
That did not belong to the defendant. It belonged to somebody else.
Yes.
Okay. And so what were the items that you then saw at a later date that did not belong to the defendant?
That night we got back to the house and it was more like the next day, and we took a look at what he was showing. I took a look at what he was showing me, and it was a letter. I don't really understand what the letter was for, but it was a Dear John letter, and then it was also his registration for his car.
How would a 12-year-old have any idea what a Dear John letter is? Are children just more knowledgeable about such
Let me
things?
just show you a copy of.
I don't even know what that is.
Really? That's goodbye.
Yeah, really.
Dear John is a reference to
Ask
goodbye.
you if-
You're right. That is a very old reference.
She also knew that he took the registration out of the car. At 12, I wouldn't
Dad
even know what
having those
registration
items.
was.
Only
Yeah.
something you do
It's a piece of
recognize.
paper to a kid.
Yes.
So what is 225 in terms of your recognizing?
What do you mean by that?
Is that the document you saw when you described some kind of, I think you said registration? Is that what you
yes.
meant? Okay. So is this appear to be the same document? A copy of the same document?
Looking at it, yeah.
Yeah.
How would you know? You were 12 years old. It was 2
And
years ago. It was
there
dark.
some handwriting on the copy you saw, if you remember?
At one point there was, yes.
And who wrote on it?
My dad.
So now I'm going to show you
States Exhibit 1, number 323.
States Exhibit 1, number 223. I'm sorry, 323. My apologies.
Yeah, Dear John is a World War II reference that soldiers would get letters in the mail from their girlfriend saying,
So
Dear
does
John,
that look
we're
familiar
through.
in relation to that 225 I just showed you?
Yeah, that's his handwriting.
Okay, and whose handwriting is that?
The defendant's.
Why is she laughing? That's weird.
Yeah, the
Nervous, I
giggling
guess.
is kind of off-putting.
Is that handwriting you saw on the document when you saw it previously?
Yes.
And where were you location-wise when you saw these documents, this letter and this registration type document?
Standing on his right side.
Okay,
In his room, by his desk.
in his room at his home in Mequon?
Correct.
Okay. Now, on Sunday, May 17th, before you left, did you have occasion to see anybody in your family playing with Legos in a location in the house?
Yes.
And what location in the house was that?
It was close to around my dad's house.
Okay, and where in what area of your dad's house?
The downstairs.
Okay, so in the downstairs of your dad's house, who was playing Legos?
My brother.
And when your brother was playing Legos, did you end up in the same area as he was playing Legos?
Yeah.
Okay, and what, if anything, did you observe that you then told law enforcement about later?
Well, a Lego had dropped through the floorboards, and so Magnum had asked if he could go down there and look for it, and I said, yeah, that should be okay. And then I went down and, with him, obviously, because it was, I'm not gonna lie, the basement was kind of creepy. So he asked me if I could go with him. I said, yeah, so I went down there. There was a roller chair, whatever, and it had tape and rope on it, and my brother had a flashlight. We went down there, whatever, got his Lego and went back upstairs. Didn't think anything of it.
So when you say roller chair, can you describe where this kind of chair would be? And
Like a black armchair.
okay, like a desk chair kind of thing? Okay, and then other than the desk chair, were there other items down there that you then eventually wanted to tell or did decide to tell law enforcement about? What did you see there?
I don't like this at all.
What do you quite mean?
Well, in relation to the
remember what
chair,
you told
were
me
there
was
other
there.
items that you saw that were in the vicinity of the chair?
The tape and rope?
Okay, so what kind of tape are we talking about?
Like duct tape, just normal duct tape?
All right, and what kind of rope? Really thin or thick, or what do you remember about the rope?
It's like heavy duty, thick rope.
Okay, and do you remember what condition they were in? Were they old, new? What do you remember about it?
They weren't old.
Okay.
It didn't seem like they were old.
All right, and where were they located in relation to this chair that sounds like it's in the basement?
Yeah.
Okay, so where were they in relation to the chair, the desk chair you mentioned?
On them, like
On
he was
them?
sitting on the seat.
Okay. And you last saw those supplies on May 17th on the Sunday before your mom picked you up?
Yes.
Joe, do you have duct tape in your house?
Some, yeah.
You fucking murderer.
Yep, that's true.
Do you have rope in your house?
I imagine I could dig some up for you if you want.
Yeah, so there you go. Clearly,
Watch
you did
out.
it.
Watch out, Jeff. You were wise to be several continents away.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, not
Jeff,
to incriminate
Judge,
myself,
this
but I
would be a
also have duct
logical
tape.
time for us to take a break.
Yeah.
All right, let's break at this point. Talk about the case. You watch or listen to any conference file.
And how long we?
Holy hell.
All right. Well, Joe narrowly missed the cage. Narrowly missed the cage. There we go. Let me burn through these super chats here real quick, and then we can chat about all this. Flux says, "What does it matter what job she has? What is she mine for? Let us hear." That was so long ago, I can't even remember what that was about. That was like 45 minutes ago. Sorry, Flux. Caitlin Williams, can we do a quick to this point? Probably at lunch. This has been 10 and a half days of absolute madness nonstop.
It's
We'll do our best. Law and lumber. Yeah, exactly, Rob. Can the prosecutor chill out with the aggressive questioning? Like, what the fuck? Let's make the testimony even more uncomfortable.
His whole demeanor in general is just very in your face.
Your victim witness person who came up here and grabbed about 5 or 6 of these hearing assist devices and was passing them out to people. They're there for people who need them, and after that, they're on a first come, first served basis because of the limited number that we have. And now today, I noticed that when the last person over here arrived, another person, the person in the blue there or green, I've got male color blindness, handed her one. And it was not the one she had been using, so she had been holding one, and that defeats the purpose.
I don't think we need to hear him talk about
for people as they need
talk
them.
to the
the
people in the gallery.
That's got to stop.
Well, if he has some kind of blindness, that explains some of the evidence that came in the Rittenhouse trial.
Don't
Like that
bogart the hearing
hocus
devices,
pocus
dude.
out of focus stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. So
One of the best lines.
This is the DA, Binger's boss. So everything Binger learned, he learned from this guy. So what were we saying before? So rudely interrupted by Judge Schroeder.
So we were talking about how aggressive this guy is.
Yeah, and you were saying something. Do you recall? What, if anything, were you saying?
I was saying that he's very in your face. His whole tone is like, it sounds like he's shouting the entire time.
He is. He was shouting without the microphone. Now he's shouting into the microphone, which makes it so much worse.
Yeah.
Miles Skoda, the prosecutor sounds super angry and accusatory. It makes him look even worse generally now to me. I don't like anything about him.
We can't be blind to the fact.
Talking about, hang on. Do we have? Why do they keep talking about?
The court feels that there's anything untoward about that, or if it would be appropriate for the defendant to try to keep himself in check. Certainly, the court asked other witnesses previously to try to be as stolid as they possibly could.
He wasn't doing anything
I
weird.
have been watching both the defendant and the child's mother, and others. Everybody, you're all being watched. Believe me, nothing that would be, in my opinion, an effort to influence the child in any way or make this more difficult will be tolerated, and it will be addressed rapidly. I have not seen anything either from the defendant or
Natalie.
Hey.
Good morning. Good morning.
That I thought was any kind of a problem.
Completely defer to the court. Just wanted to be sure the court was thinking.
He was just looking dumbfounded and confused and bewildered the entire time.
Oh, like kind of out the gog.
Subtle communications from the witness to Mr. Anderson. I don't know if it was facial or just some mouthing while they was waiting for a question, but so
yeah, he's been doing
maybe
that.
There could be some instruction about that too.
He's been mouthing words.
I would expect that there'd be some mother and father are here and on adverse sides of a case, and the child's got a very, very difficult experience she's going. I have not noticed anything either in the behavior of any of the spectators or nor did I notice. You made some reference to the child being affected. I had not myself detected that.
She is looking over and getting smiles from the defendant and smiling back. And there's a
Okay, if I could, Judge,
really
I've
petty.
been observing her as Attorney Gravely's been asking questions. My client has not prompted any of that behavior. She has been looking over here and has been looking at him and smiling, and that's been unprompted. So I don't think the representations of the state are very fair right now.
I don't think he's suggested. Well, first off, let me start off by saying I can't see her face, and even if I turned on the TV, I wouldn't be able to see her face. At least I'm not supposed to be able to. So I don't know what's going on there.
Is this his daughter then? I haven't seen anything this morning.
Yeah, this is his daughter on the stand.
Her mother and her father, which I think is quite normal. And I have a
Natalie, have you faced off against the DA directly?
father and mother.
Me personally, no, but I've seen him enough. I mean, he doesn't take a ton of cases. He usually just takes homicide cases he thinks he can win.
I'm not going to. I would.
Does he have this same angry John McCarthy
Yes,
type? Kevin
that's
McCarthy
how he
type of
talks
vibe?
all the time, Joe. This is not different. That is actually how he talks all the time.
When child is in a difficult experience, not going to give some kind of support.
Yeah, I've had, obviously cases in my office that have been against him. It's just me personally haven't had one directly with him. I've had, hearings, things like that I've covered for other people or had with other cases against him. But if we're talking about, my actual cases, a trial that I've done, no.
I really just want to know your vibe of him from meeting him face to face.
I mean, he gives off the same vibe he does in real life on TV. So.
And snap a shot. Okay. All right.
Okay, so I do need a short break, of course, but also then the issue would be the next area of inquiry I intend to go into is what this then 12-year-old daughter has in terms of knowledge of marijuana being manufactured, produced on a large scale at this location. It goes directly to her credibility as a reporter of information.
Oh, come on. No, come on.
Marijuana means uncredible?
Ask him what color the carpet was. Ask what color the curtains
and that's
were.
evidence already that has been brought out and is in evidence in this case. I don't intend to belabor it, but I do intend to talk about the things that she specifically brought up in the report because I think when a jury when her truthfulness about any of this is challenged, then that the jury has a full ability to determine, okay, based on what she said, what is it that could be verified by other means? And much of what she can be verified is that.
I'm not going to repeat the entire objection that the defense had previously made as far as Marquand Washington went, but the essence is the same.
No, it's not the same.
I'm saying that the essence of the objection,
Okay, fair enough.
not the situation, the same legal analysis that we had done previously, and that other acts evidence shouldn't be used to bolster a witness's credibility when the claims aren't to it's not to an element of an offense, it's just to the credibility. And this individual is just a witness. So that's what I meant, Judge, by that it's in essence the same, is that our legal argument would be the same.
Well, I'll tell you what, the situation with Mr. Washington was different in the sense that it was going to get into a couple of drug dealers bragging about their
Someone asked in the comments, yes, marijuana is illegal in Wisconsin, but I live in Kenosha County and I'm 6 miles from the Illinois border. So
on the other hand, there is evidence, as Mr. Braley
We weren't
points
asking
out,
about your personal.
about the defendant being
that gives a
involved
lot
in
of space. I'm just telling you, as I live in
marijuana
Kenosha County and I'm
growing
6 miles from the border, it's right on the border.
or cultivation.
I can
and,
order DoorDash to my
so
house from
there-
Illinois, and
I don't
live
see
in
it as
Wisconsin.
causing any particular harm in the case. And I think some very brief examination in this area would be non-prejudicial and contextual. So, and it's, again, I don't even think it approaches the category of other crimes, wrongs, and aims. So
That's fine. And then just on
It
that
literally is another
decision,
crime.
Judge, again, just reiterating that I will be seeking cautionary instruction 274. And also will note that if the state at this point, the defense views that given the ruling and the state's assertion of what it's going to be bringing in has opened up the door for us to question other people, such as officers, on the items that were found in the home as it relates to marijuana. So if they want to open that door, that's up to them. But we will then be going into it, given the court's ruling and the state's assertion.
I'll leave your remarks without comment.
I'll be right back.
I was
Yeah.
going to say something.
You were going to say take a break.
You were probably going to say that the attorneys really deserve a break of about 5 minutes.
Yes.
All right, I can see we've reached a time of desperation, so go ahead.
What time, Judge, do you want us back?
Oh, let's aim for about 2 minutes after 11.
Okay.
Accurate time.
8 minutes. That's a weird thing.
What time?
8
2
minutes.
minutes after that clock. There's some time freak.
It's 10:53, yeah.
It's in,
I have to go to the
let's say, in
bathroom.
7 minutes.
Wow. Okay. Let me just really quick, give me a couple of minutes just to burn through these super chats that we're like a million years behind in. Then we can talk about what we've just all witnessed here. Nick Campbell, he looks so confused about this event and he keeps glancing to the mom. Is it just me or does his daughter seem coached? Yeah, she seems way coached. But that's just me too, maybe. Nicholas Starr of Union Rep, that I remember. Start of sentence reminds me of a documentary I saw on planted memories. The person does it to remind themselves of a memory they were told they had. That's an interesting comment. Shannon 7, she calls him defendant. Did you see his reaction? Ouch. Yeah, I think that's just, I think it's pretty, I mean, it's pretty sick that he's referring to him as the defendant in front of the daughter and getting the daughter to call him defendant too. It's icky, 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 icky. Shauna, he's putting distance between her and her father by getting her to call him that. It's on purpose to make it easier for her to testify against him. Yeah.
That's likely true.
And Flux says she's been coached by her mom for 2 years. Highly, highly likely. It's happening with Harper says, my kid can't remember where she put her eyeglasses, let alone our study of the van floor 2 years ago on a particular weekend. Nick Campbell, how would she know there is no? Yeah, that was the thing. There was this carpet was here on this weekend and the stain under the carpet wasn't there. So how would she know there's no stain under where the carpet was if the carpet was there? The carpet would have blocked it. Her testimony contradicts itself. Exactly. Like a few people noticed that. And as did I. It's like, how would you know that stain wasn't there if there was carpet on top of it? Why are they even allowing a 4-year-old to testify? She's a witness, you know. Or why not just have the judge ask her questions? I don't get it. It's procedure. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just icky. Flux, dear, and that's a legal term, by the way, icky. Dear John, yeah. Did you hear that part, Natalie, where she said when she was 12 years old, she saw that her father took a Dear John letter and the registration out of Gutierrez's car?
No, I literally I hadn't seen anything today before I popped on. As I was in a different county and got some coffee, and now I'm here.
So, and this is me. Like, how the hell would a 12-year-old girl know what a Dear John letter is? And she called it a Dear John.
Isn't there like a Dear John movie? I don't know. Maybe the mom's like super into rom-com.
There was a TV show, I think, in the 90s, was featuring Judd Hirsch. But yeah,
I'm confused why Law and Cuck can copyright the public feed. They can't. They just think they can sometimes. This is actually Court TV's feed that Law and Crime is mooching off of. So that's even less of a chance. Official, we got just a couple more here. Official Rogue Ent. How can she remember so many details like what he was wearing 2 years ago? Dear John letter. What 13-year-old says that? Coach much? Probably why she laughs. Yeah, she's weirdly like crying sometimes and laughing sometimes. I'm sure it's just nerves.
She also used an expression which seemed very odd, where she said, "I'm not going to lie, the basement was creepy." When someone says, "I'm not going to," like she sort of pauses, "I'm not going to lie."
Yeah.
The business. When someone uses that phrase, that implies to me that either they're about to lie, or when they're not saying that, they're lying. But now, this time, I'm telling you the truth. To me, it really just rings of disingenuousness when someone uses a phrase like that.
It usually, I mean, that's kind of generally been my experience too. Is either they're flat out lying or at least exaggerating. They're actually like emphasizing something that anyway. It's probably just my brain here. The way I think.
It could just be a young teenager talking like a young teenager, though. To be fair.
And Legal Minded says, how do you excuse Zach breaking into Sadie's home at 3:45 a.m. when her friend was watching the kids for her in Mexico? I've said at the beginning that I'm almost willing to say they've proved the stalking charges at this point, but stalking someone doesn't mean murdered someone else in a different place. Those are very, very separate and distinct crimes. How do you handle cross?
You know, you're right. You're right about that, but you can't deny the fact that when the guy's missing and you have the blood and so much circumstantial evidence or testimony actually about him stalking, that's going to, you have to imagine that's going to be something the jury is going to take very seriously. That, you know, we hear all these stories all the time about, look, there's a podcaster who was killed 2 weeks ago by a stalker. So it really does, you know, while we sitting here are attorneys looking for the cold glint of, you know, proof beyond a reasonable doubt, you can't deny the fact that to most laypersons, that's probably going to be considered very compelling evidence.
Have you seen the pictures though, Joe, of the actual amount of blood?
Yeah, I know it wasn't as much as.
Yeah,
as...
I mean, that's the only thing here for me that does that is just the amount of blood alone. I don't think is enough to establish that somebody died. And that's the issue is, I mean, who knows? He could have beat him the hell up, given him a concussion. You know, he might be somewhere not knowing where he is, but that's not what he's charged with.
Right.
Listen,
And there's.
You're preaching to the choir. Like I said, I'm with you. I'm with you that this to me doesn't rise to a level anywhere near a proof beyond reasonable doubt. That I'm simply looking into like what you can expect from a typical jury and how they're going to be thinking about it.
Well, I think juries are more interested in DNA evidence. Oh, sorry. What was that, Jeff?
They are. I was saying, I wonder how the cross examination is going to be handled. I mean, that's a touchy situation here. I think they kind of have to go a little hard on her. But,
I mean, there's ways to do it with everything. I didn't see her examination, but I think a lot of it is, you know, approach is there's ways to be firm without being a jerk.
Yeah.
It has to be very intentional. Everything. And usually, you know, you can't prep your cross too much beforehand, I think. you know, at least to a certain degree, because it all depends upon what the person actually says on the stand.
Right.
You know,
It has to come from direct.
it has to come from them directly, and you can have things, you know, like ideas. I usually like, you know, more have an outline bullet points, but the actual words, things like that, you can't get into too nitty-gritty till they say it. So, I mean, I think that though this is a different context though, where you have to sort of phrase out your questions, things like that, plan beforehand, and just, if nothing else, the attempt to not come off as completely insensitive and cruel to this little girl.
See, and weirdly, it seems like the prosecution is being mean to her with just the way he shouts at everybody.
You know what? That's a great point, Jeff. It almost like gives them a little bit more latitude because they watching her facing aggressive questioning from the state itself. That it's like I do think it might open a little leeway where it's like, you know, they understand that a defense is going to have to cross-examine her. So,
if I may throw my observations into the ring, it feels like he is really rushing through the questions with her. He seems to be going fast, almost like he doesn't want to forget the order in which he's asking these questions. There's something, just the way that it's rushed feels unnatural, and it is aggressive, definitely.
Yeah, and Duncan Idaho says, judge does a funny thing. Emerge, go well, attempt to tell a joke, and immediately say, when it doesn't land. Leave comedy out of the courts. It never goes well. Judges never.
It is a murder trial.
Yeah. Swipe, text, and haste got me today. The judge does a funny thing where he'll attempt to tell a joke. Good morning, all. Thanks for being here. Yeah, I get, you know, the judge can do whatever he wants, but and if the judge does crack a joke, make sure you laugh, no matter how unfunny it is. Corn Pop, super sticker, thank you so much. And Law and Lumber. What's the defense's theory? Mom did it. Dude skipped town. They're alluding to the fact that the mom did it. There is a text they tried to get in that almost caused a mistrial, saying it'll happen at some point in the next 7 days. You won't know when. And then 7 days later, she goes to the house and there's blood everywhere, and she reports it to the cops.
Right, but unfortunately, they didn't file a Denny motion for that. They did file a Denny motion for Campbell, and that was rejected. So it's interesting that Schroeder said that, you know, he would have considered a Denny motion for that text, but it was not filed. So it's unfortunate that they were not able to file that.
John Gordon, no body, no crime. Don't waste my time. Yeah. And Cameron Mason, the defense has to go hard on this girl and cross to get her to crack. Her awkward laugh is like her mom's awkward laugh. Well, you know, you pick up things from your parents. You can't go too hard on her though, because then you're beating up on a 12-year-old girl. Yeah, it's rough. Like, you know, she's 14 now, 12 at the time. Not gonna lie, this case is bussin'. FR no cap teens. There we go. And Tom Nash Music. But is the stalking charge against Sadie or him? It's against him. He's charged with stalking, murder, and hiding a corpse.
He has 2 counts of stalking.
Yeah, against both, one for each of them. And they've been talking about stalking her, not a lot about stalking the victim. Wow. Do you know what the threshold for stalking, what the elements are for stalking in Wisconsin, Natalie?
Yes, give me a minute. I'll get it up.
Cool.
I don't know off the top of my head, but give me about 60 seconds and I'll have it.
Oh, we can do that.
I guarantee the word threatening is going to be somewhere in that statute. In a threatening manner. So that's my gut. That's my gut.
Threatening Joe's gut.
Yeah. What were you going to ask me?
No, I was going to ask for your comments on the little you've seen so far today. This question of the daughter.
I've only been peeking in intermittently, as I mentioned to you on Twitter and the DM. I had a meeting in the middle of this testimony. It's hard to know because we can't see her, which, as I said, is the proper thing for the court to do to protect her anonymity. She is a minor. This is a hell of a position for any human to be in, even as an adult. But it's really hard to know how credible she appears without seeing her face. You know, you're just getting an audio of what she's saying. It's not nearly the same thing. For us, it's almost like we have hearsay while the court has direct evidence because they're able to see it. But seeing someone's face really tells you a lot, to me at least.
Well, and what did you think of the faces that you've seen? I mean, like, to me, it just looked like the defendant was just in bewilderment that his daughter was saying this stuff.
Yeah, he looked astonished.
Do you want me to send you the instructions, or do you want me to share?
You could share a link, I think.
Yeah, you can just share them.
Okay. Get it up here.
And while you're doing that, Nicholas
I don't know how
Starr.
to do that on my end. I've never had to do that. I'm just gonna
Press present, and then you share a screen.
Oh, okay.
Cross needs to jump around in the timeline. Daughter probably has rehearsed her answers to remember in which order to say certain things.
I like that idea.
Yeah, that is a good idea.
Yeah.
So can you see it?
No. You can just send me
You
the
have
link
to-
if you want.
I'll just send you the link.
Okay. And while you're doing that, Rob, again, if stalking equals murder, a lot of divorce cases are about to get really interesting. People ending relationships do stupid things, not always murder.
It's in the private chat.
All righty. Because I'm just curious to see whether I think we've met the legal standard for a conviction on stalking on one or both of them. So, all right, let's.
No, there's no threatening in there. Son of a gun.
Let's see. Want to make sure
Yeah,
we're
we've been
not
talking
missing
about this
the
for
court.
a couple days at least, so I'm glad you're here, Natalie.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
They're still not back in court, so that's good. Let's bring it up.
And so the thing that general lay people need to know about these jury instructions is that this is also pattern. So there's lots of parentheses and things in like brackets because it's supposed to be able to be, you take things, pick and choose depending upon the situation. So that's just letting other people know if it comes up on the screen that, you don't have to do all of these things. You have to think about parentheses, stuff like that as generally being an or.
Okay. So stalking is defined as committed by someone who intentionally engages in a course of conduct directed at a specific person. Okay, we can say he's directed his conduct at both people that causes that person to suffer serious emotional distress
or
to fear bodily injury or death to them or someone around them, and that would cause a reasonable person to do one of those things, or anybody in their family, and where the actor knows or should know the conduct will
Cause the person to suffer serious emotional stress or place
so
them
doing
in
something
reasonable
that's going
bound
to cause
fear.
distress to someone and know it will cause them distress. Distilling that down. So what do they have to prove? We might have to look at this. We'll look at this at lunch, because I don't think there's any question. There's no murder been shown yet. They're not even remotely close to a reasonable doubt on murder.
What
Or
kind
hiding
of
the body.
what kind of penalty is associated with this crime? I was talking.
Let me see.
I just closed it.
It's a class H felony. So imprisonment up to 6 years or $10,000 fine or both. Wisconsin maximum penalties. When they list things like 6, that includes the combination of initial incarceration and extended supervision. We have a truth in sentencing law, so there's no parole in the state of Wisconsin. You have to serve at least 80% of the actual sentence imposed as far as incarceration goes before you're even eligible to ask for early release. So when it says something like imprisonment not more than 6 years or both, that's not 6 years in actual prison. That is a combination of prison and supervision after the fact. So that's the maximum.
Wow.
Well, and while I have a bit of a break here,
I think
everybody
you might
needs
be
to go to
charged as a
Twitter.
repeater, though, which increases the underlying penalty. So let me double check that.
And while you're doing that, everybody go to Twitter and make sure you follow Chandler Remington, which is Remy_REMY_legal.
Visit you
as
had
well as
at
Natalie
the
Wisco,
tree farm.
and
At
follow
your
Joe
father's
Goodlogic
residence.
everywhere. All right, here we go. We're back.
About drugs being produced there, made there somehow.
Quite a bit.
Okay, so what drugs do you remember being produced there in some fashion?
Marijuana.
Okay, Any others?
Not that was grown.
Okay. And as to marijuana, what do you know about what was happening at that residence? Meaning your dad's residence, the defendant.
He was growing it.
Where in the house was it being grown?
In between the kitchen and living room.
Okay. On the top level or on a bottom level, if you know?
No, main floor.
Okay. And what do you remember about the process that you saw? How was it being done?
There were a lot of plants there, and
Do you believe you know how many?
I do.
How many?
72.
Okay. And what do you remember about how they were being grown?
Counted the marijuana plants.
Dad had a water system, and they were just in rows, and there was a place to dry them in the back, and it wasn't anything like a little small operation.
This seems
So describe the water
prejudicial.
system. What do you remember about that?
Yeah.
It was just like,
Judge, I'm going to object as far as relevance into going all the minute details of the operation.
Well,
what does this have to do with any of the
we are
charges?
Nothing. It has nothing to do with stalking or murder.
It's just
keep
getting
in
into character
mind,
evidence. It's
and it's been true throughout
way
the trial,
prejudicial.
there are materials coming in that are not directly pertinent to the crimes charged in the information. And I've sustained objections to some of them. I also spoke with you earlier about some of the things that were let in that might ordinarily not have been let in, but for our evidentiary rules, I've permitted. Well, I'll leave it at that.
Well, 72 plants, water system rows in the hallway between the kitchen and the living room.
Charged with anything related to drug offense, and also it's being permitted for legitimate reasons in the case, which I'm not going to go into right now. But you're not to allow it to convince you that he is as a character trait or a bad character, and that he acted in conformity with that in respect to the offenses charged against him. It's what's called, it's admitted for limited purposes, limited admissibility, and please don't draw any inferences about his character as a result of that. Any question about that? Thank you. But
can you briefly describe
Why
what
is
you
it
meant by
coming
a
in?
water system? What do you remember?
it was just, it required a lot of building in the process, and it took up a lot of the time. It just took a lot of time to build it and make everything work the way he wanted it to.
And did you, what if anything can you say about observing the defendant tending the plants, busy tending the plants at times you were there?
Yeah,
Okay. And so what did you see him do that was tending the plants?
just trimming them, cutting, just like,
You forgot what to say.
normal, like, plant
normal-
keeping, I guess. Like, if you were to grow marijuana, like, it would just be like a normal plant process of growing them and like trimming them and stuff.
And what, if anything, can you say about approximately when they were harvested, if you know?
Oh, come on.
I really don't
How is
know.
this
That was something
relevant?
that he definitely did on his own time.
Okay.
Seriously.
And what, if anything, do you know about whether what, if anything, did the defendant say about how much of it he had sold?
Oh my gosh. Why is this
What was
relevant?
your understanding of how much had been
The
sold?
last time I talked to my dad, well, not necessarily talked to him. It was probably a week before I actually last talked to him. He told me that he had gotten rid of it all, which then when they had went through the house, I found out was not true.
Okay, so when he said he got rid of it all, what did that mean?
Like he had sold everything that he had harvested from it.
Okay. So now I'm just going to show you a couple of quick pictures. So the first picture is which? No.
This is ridiculous. What does it have to do with
Okay,
stalking,
again, that's
murder, or
State's
hiding a
Exhibit
body?
1, number 307.
I don't know,
It's gonna
Jeff.
show
That's a
up on
good
the
question.
TV screen. I'm just going to ask you if you recognize this item from your father's home. Is that something familiar to you from your father's home?
Can I ask what that is?
Don't know. Okay. All right. Then I have no other question about that. So I'm going to show you
Okay, you know
now
all this, but
what's
you don't
been
even know
marked
what the
as
fuck it looks like.
State's Exhibit 1, 308.
72
So that
plants.
is an item in a container. Do you recognize that?
Oh my Christ.
I know the mason jar is his, but I don't know what's inside of that jar.
Was there something kept in the refrigerator that
my gosh.
you were that you were told about?
I'm going to object.
Told
She's already
about
said she doesn't
hearsay?
know what it is.
Well,
This is actually a separate question.
Yeah. Was there something?
I don't know what that is.
That's
In the
hearsay.
fridge you were asking?
Yep.
I don't know what they were used for necessarily. There were mushrooms of some sort in the door side in a opening somewhere where you would keep your butter, right? In the fridge where you would put your sticks of butter. That's where it was, in his fridge.
And were the mushrooms stored in jars of this type?
I have no idea.
Okay. I'm saying when you saw them in the fridge.
No, they were in a bag.
Very good.
To me, that does not look like a mushroom.
Okay.
So,
What does a mushroom look like that you saw at your dad's house?
they
I
were.
object to relevance.
What does a mushroom look like?
I assume we're at the very end of
Yep,
this.
we are.
Yeah,
Very end.
Okay.
Come on.
Wow, that was a burn and a half.
You can try to answer the question if you like.
Okay. I don't know. They were like an off-white with some like brown of some sort, and they were just really thin. I remember them being very thin, like almost miniature, slim mushrooms.
Which is also what mushrooms look like when you leave them in the fridge and they dry out. Regular mushrooms.
Yep.
Hold on for just a moment.
Where's the evidence that these were psychedelic mushrooms? I forget about my mushrooms and they look exactly like she's describing.
Well, what does it have to do with anything anyway? Oh, that was just a burn. She can tell you the ins and outs of a 72 plant marijuana hydroponic growing system, but she can't tell you what it looks like.
Yeah, that ain't it. Yeah.
That was an interesting answer.
Smoked. I don't even think I've actually seen marijuana in person in my entire life, and I know what that was.
Really? You've never seen marijuana in your life?
No, I have. I don't think I ever have, actually.
Wow.
Now that I think about it. Except for the plant my brother was growing in his house. Okay.
Right. The 72 plants.
No, but the
he was
live
growing.
plant doesn't look like that.
Yeah, no, it does not. He convinced my parents it was an Angola watermelon.
What does an Angola watermelon actually look like?
Nothing like that, apparently.
An Angola
Recall
watermelon?
time that something was found under your little brother's car seat.
Correct.
What was found?
I'm going to object. This is something that she has no personal knowledge of
I
and
do.
would have been told.
I do.
Well,
whoa.
We're
About
talking
the finding.
personal knowledge in the courts. We're talking about something you've seen with your own senses or heard with your own ears.
He's told her about it. He's told her about it.
Isn't that hearsay?
Bennett has told her.
Well,
yes.
Shut up, girl.
I'm asking her to be quiet.
When you
Be quiet.
say you know what was the source of your information,
Told me.
he told you.
It's hearsay.
What's your objection?
Hearsay.
So just how the question was phrased made it seem it wasn't did the defendant say.
Okay.
So if that's what it's going to be, then that's fine.
Okay.
How is this not classic hearsay?
It's fine.
Yeah. So did you come at some point to know that a phone had been found under one of your little brother's car seats?
Wait, is that lady?
In fact, I knew about it. He had told me
clear. Was
about
that a
this phone
leading
that he
question?
put underneath there, and in fact, he instructed me to watch where my mother was going on his desktop, and it tracked all the way to Mr. Gutierrez's house.
So at some point you saw that on a computer as well.
Correct.
Okay.
If he's found guilty, it's his daughter's testimony that put him there.
All right.
This is really messed up.
At least that's a party admission that they didn't establish where she was getting any of this information, who was telling her anything until she gave her answer.
Wow.
But yeah, now that she says that the defendant said it, okay, so it's a party admission.
Wow. I hate it. Yeah, exactly. I was going to say that. I hate everybody
That's
involved here.
If I can just have a moment, there's pieces of physical discovery that I'm going to need for my cross-examination.
Go ahead.
Thank you.
Wow. 72 plants, 2x4 grow tents holds 4 plants. Marv, you know way more about that than I do. And Nick Campbell plot twist. This is a custody battle over plants.
Nice.
I was going to say that too. That's kind of funny.
And Lawn Lumber, thank you again so much. What, if anything, did I tell you to tell the jury? Wait, can I ask
10
what
times?
that is? Yeah,
Oh, many
she's
times.
testifying to a marijuana operation. Right. That was bad.
Yeah, unfortunately, the jury's going to look at that and they're going to go, he was growing drugs around his kids and he had 4-year-olds and they could have put the plants in their mouths. You know, I mean, it does not look good for him. It's definitely more prejudicial than probative. I don't know how the hell that got in.
And as Jeff pointed out earlier, the judge seemed to let it in to establish that she was there and that she knew what the place looked like. You can ask what color the walls were. You can ask what kind of sheets they had in the bed. There's 1,000 ways to skin that cat without doing anything prejudicial to the defendant. Describe everything else. You can even say he had plants without calling them marijuana plants.
And I don't know how Schrader determined that's not prejudicial. To be talking about your father's illegal drug growing operation.
I would ask Natalie questions. I would ask Natalie questions about Schrader's rulings here, but I don't want her to put her on a spot.
Well, I haven't seen everything, so I mean, I might not know. Anyway, so what's your question?
It seems as if he's really being a little loosey-goosey with allowing in potentially prejudicial evidence, and I'm wondering, this is the second trial we're watching him do that. If I felt that he was doing similar work with, not prejudicial of crimes with Kyle, but that, evidence that was potentially prejudicial, far more prejudicial than probative, where like the picture, the hocus pocus picture.
Just 1 second.
All right.
Make sure I'm not muted. Nope. The camera's muted. One more super chat here. Duncan, Idaho. This showcase just showcases such a sad failure of a marriage, right?
Sorry, I'm trying to multitask phone calls as well. It's hard to say.
They weren't married.
The thing that I think he thinks is a balancing act between what is unfairly prejudicial and not, because that's the standard. Is any evidence against a defendant is going to be prejudicial in some way. I mean, that's kind of how it works in a prosecution. Is it's supposed to be prejudicial against the defendant. I think it comes down to an issue of whether or not the risk of unfair prejudice outweighs the probative value, and that is a balancing test. I mean, I don't necessarily know how he's made every decision, if I feel like he's balanced it correctly or not, because I haven't seen, but I do know that he focuses it on, in his head, not just as this prejudicial evidence, because it's going to be prejudicial if the state's trying to use it anyway, but what he believes to be unfairly prejudicial.
He's talking to the jury now?
Yep. There we go.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So I want to
Here we
walk,
go.
I'm going to be walking
See how this
through a
goes.
bunch of things that the state went through with you. But I also want to go through some other details. First thing is we'll start with the weekend you were at the tree farm. The state had said Sunday the 17th, changed it to the weekend, but you were there on Saturday, May 16th, 2020, right?
I probably was. I don't really remember the quite dates like that.
Okay.
Like referencely like that. But yes, it's somewhere around that time.
So because after you went to the tree farm, did you go back home and spend the night at your dad's?
You probably are right. It is Saturday.
Okay. Because you remembered that afterwards you went home and spent the night.
Correct.
And when you were at the tree farm, there were other people there, right? Who else was there?
I know one of my uncles was. I remember my grandpa being there. And that's really it.
Was your aunt there?
I don't remember.
And you said your grandfather and then one of your uncles, was that Solomon Anderson?
No.
Joshua Anderson?
Correct.
Okay. So you go to the tree farm, and what did you do that day?
Hung out at the tree farm. We were planting new seedlings and stuff in the field. I don't know, it was just a normal day at the farm. Like there wasn't anything off.
And you said you and your brothers went?
Yeah.
And your dad. And so you guys get there, you're going to have a good day at the tree farm. When you get there, what do you do when you first get there?
Said hi to everybody.
So you got out of the car.
Yeah.
And then you went and said hi to everyone.
Yeah.
And then what did you do? After you said hi to everyone, what did you do next? You said you were planting saplings, things of that sort. So did you go out into the fields? That's basically what I'm trying to get at.
Sorry, before you said my aunt, correct?
Yeah, asked if your aunt was there.
I think that you would be referring to Zenith.
Correct.
Yes, she was there. Me, her, Josh, my dad, Grandpa.
The boys.
The boys. I think that was really who was it.
Yeah, so after you get out of the car, you say hi to everyone who's there. What do you do next at the tree farm that day?
I don't quite understand.
So
okay. If you're asking what I was doing, I was hanging out with my little brothers.
Okay, and were you hanging out in the barn? Were you hanging out in the fields? Where exactly were you hanging out
We
with
were
your brothers?
hanging out in the vehicle.
You were hanging out in the vehicle?
We had went back to the vehicle and then we ran around out in the field. The tree farm's pretty big. There's a lot of things for kids to do there. So, we just ran around, explored. I don't know.
Yeah, so you're out and about. You're not playing in the car.
No, not necessarily. No.
You're out on the whole tree farm, which it is big. Lots of things to do there.
Yeah.
And so then after you're playing, hanging out, do you all get dinner together? Or do you go back in the car and go back to your dad's house?
We probably stopped for food on the way back, I'm sure, because it was a long ride. But otherwise, we went back to the house and ate lunch there and then took a nap because it was part of our schedule.
And so when you were there for that day then, when you were at the tree farm, you were playing with your brothers. When you were playing with your brothers, was your dad around?
He was planting the seedlings, so no.
Okay.
He was like out in the like. We were in two different fields. So
Because
no.
there's like kind of a front field and a back field, right?
The front field.
You were in the front field.
He was in the front field.
Okay.
I was not.
Okay, so you couldn't see him.
I could see him,
But
I
you-
just wasn't around him.
Okay. And he was with Josh and his dad?
Yeah, I had gone back there like a couple of times just to see what they were doing, you know, and stuff like that. But otherwise, I wasn't like back there all the time.
And so when they were conversing, if you weren't there, you wouldn't be able to hear them, though, about what they were talking about.
No.
Okay. So your testimony earlier was that when you were in the van, you were sitting in the front seat and the boys were sitting in the back seat of the van, and that there were no seats in the middle.
Correct.
And could you see that space in between perfectly without obstruction?
Yeah.
There was nothing. So in that,
There was obviously my own dad's junk in his own car because that's pretty normal. But I mean, other than the normal stuff that was in the car already, no, there were no middle seats.
and there was nothing else on the carpet other than some trash and
Maybe some clothes or something. I don't know. Just typical stuff.
typical man stuff in a van.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Counsel, would you be so kind to pull up the exhibit of the carpet, the back of the car with the carpet taken out? What was that? Exhibit 1. I'm sorry. 260, I believe. Okay, thank you. Pulling up what's been marked as State's Exhibit 260.
States Exhibit 1, number 260.
Thank you.
Mr. Carmen?
Okay, so you remember being asked about this photo earlier?
Yes.
And you had said that you did not observe the van like this on the 16th, right?
No, I did not.
So I hate to make you get up. Maybe I'll just get up. Judge, can I have your stick? Thank you. Okay, so if the back seats were in, they would be locked in right here. Correct?
Yeah.
So if the seats are there, you're not necessarily going to be able to see directly underneath.
No, there was carpet underneath there.
You could see completely underneath.
I could
the
see
seats.
completely underneath the seats. That seat was not like that.
Okay, and you're saying that there was nothing in this area?
No.
Just open?
I mean, besides what my dad's stuff was in his car, no. There was nothing out of the ordinary.
So where was the chainsaw?
In the trunk.
Where in the trunk? The back seats are back there.
No. The trunk cuts off right behind those seats.
So there was enough space with the back seats.
The click, the back seat, stops right where you're
Right
pointing.
there. So you're saying the chainsaw was right here.
Correct.
When did you see the chainsaw? And I'm good with that exhibit. Thank you.
When we had gone to the tree farm, I noticed that my uncle, grandpa, and dad were exchanging or fixing his. So that we had brought it there to fix the chainsaw. At the same time, my dad was also cutting down trees in his yard, so.
So you remember speaking with detectives on multiple occasions, right?
Which one?
I'm just saying, it was not just one time that you spoke with detectives. There were multiple times.
Yeah.
The first time was when you and your mom went to the police department on May 19th, 2020. That was the first time, right? you guys went there together?
I'm not sure. I've met with so many different people and talked about this situation with so many different people. I probably couldn't even recall any of the times that you're about to ask me.
Oh, what?
Okay. But the first time, so then do you remember it wasn't until you didn't, the first time you met with law enforcement, you didn't tell them anything about a chainsaw, correct?
Correct. I didn't feel that it was very needed since it wasn't used for this case.
So you said, though, that one of the times you talked to detectives that while you were at the farm, your dad never took that chainsaw out of the van. Do you remember telling detectives that?
I don't remember saying that.
Uh-oh.
Oops.
Is it possible you said that?
Not sure.
So what happened then? Maybe if you could explain now. Did he never take the chainsaw?
No, he definitely took the chainsaw.
Okay, so
he definitely brought it into the barn and they were fixing on it and doing chain stuff on it and seeing what was wrong with the chain. Oh yeah, I remember that like the back of my hand. He definitely took it out of the vehicle and brought it into the barn.
So if
Pushing is too
so
hard.
then you wouldn't have said that he never took the
No, like I said, I did not say that.
You
No, you
did
didn't
not
say
say
that.
that would be a lie if you said that.
Objection, to call something a lie would be to.
Lie is one form of.
I will
inaccurate
rephrase.
Statement. Go ahead.
Thank you. That would be an untrue statement.
Same objection.
Well, inaccurate.
That would be an
inaccurate.
That would not
possibly.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
It's not what you saw.
I'm saying I'm not sure, but I do remember him bringing a chainsaw to the tree farm and him taking it out of the van and bringing it to the workshop.
And do you remember saying that your dad was wearing flip-flops when he got to the tree farm and that he then changed into your grandfather's boots when he was there?
I do remember saying that actually.
And your dad wore flip-flops
All the time.
All the time. Even in like weird weather where
I mean, snowing, sleet, heavy packed snow, he's wearing sandals. There's no question.
Even when it makes literally
no sense. Yeah, sandals.
Yeah.
Giggle.
This is weird.
Rain, snow, like you said, everything.
They're bonding.
And a lot
She's
of
doing the
times too,
girl
he
bonding
would
thing.
wear these sandals and then change into different shoes when he was at the farm.
He always had other shoes. He just preferred to wear his flip-flops if he was running in and out of somewhere or just anything simple. My dad was very simple. So for him to wear flip-flops all the time, it was just easy for him.
Yeah. And his being simple also translated to his style, right?
I guess I'm going to object to questions about the defendant's style.
Why?
Seems irrelevant.
The state talked about everything he was wearing. That's where I'm going with this.
Well, whether it was fashionable or not would be irrelevant.
That's not what the question was.
Not at all.
We're talking about clothes.
Doesn't sound like
It's relevant.
It's relevant.
Okay. Your dad had like the same clothes he would wear all the time, the same style. When I'm saying style, I don't mean something that's
He
stylish.
had different pairs of those clothes.
Exactly. He had this jeans and white t-shirt.
It was his go-to. I mean, waking up, sleeping, he was in jeans, maybe shorts sometimes, but mainly just jeans and a white tee.
Okay. And so when you saw him on, and not saying he's dirty, but he didn't have a washer and dryer at his house.
No.
Okay. And so he had
Dirty
on
pot
the
grower.
16th when you were at the tree farm, he was wearing his, before he changed into the boots, the flip-flops, jeans, white t-shirt.
My dad washed his clothes. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
there were times where he washed his clothes. Like, he just had multiple pairs. And if you're asking me about his style, he wore the same thing every day. Like, literally every single day. There was nothing new about him. He doesn't change ever. Like, he's just him. I don't know.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so I want to go back, though, to the tree farm. He was wearing a white t-shirt, blue jeans, flip-flops.
And when on the 17th, when your mom picked you up, he was wearing blue jeans. The same thing. Okay.
So a dude, basically.
Well, a dude in flip flops.
At least they weren't Crocs. If they were Crocs, then you got to convict him.
Seriously.
Let's see. We got a few super chats to clear through here. Farron defense lawyer is pretty sharp in her questioning. IMHO. Okay. Is Chandler a lawyer? She's kind of annoying. Well, nope, she's not a lawyer. And hey, we're all annoying. So that's how all that goes.
Welcome to YouTube, Chandler.
Exactly.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here.
You don't shit on my guests. That's the one rule we have. Literally the one. So don't do it again. Law and Lumber. That'll stop him. Law and Lumber. She remembers. See, this is the thing. She remembers specific, minute details, but can't remember what they did that day. Yeah, and I hope the lay jury picks up on how ridiculous that is. You might possibly have eaten lunch on the way home. We don't know what we were doing. We just did stuff around. But yet, at 12:57, I did this. I remember it was Saturday, May 16th. I did
Exhibit
this.
300, Defense Exhibit 300. So our pair of blue jeans.
Lots of nervous laughter.
Why does that not seem like my dad's size and know those are not his?
These aren't his?
What?
Can I see them as well?
Sure.
I know she's still looking at them. I don't want to touch them. Is it all right if you?
You're the dirty.
Levi's? I'm confused. He never wore Levi's. I could be wrong. I'm not sure.
Dad never wore Levi's.
It's also been a while, so I'm not really.
Only Calvin Klein.
I didn't think you'd memorize each article. You didn't memorize. You didn't memorize each article of your dad's clothing, right?
Not like that. I mean, once you kind of know him, you're just like, yeah, he wears jeans and a t-shirt. I didn't really focus on brands like that.
Do these look similar to jeans your dad would wear?
The pockets do. The back does.
The back does?
For sure.
Okay.
I hope defense is going somewhere with this whole clothing line of questions.
I hope so too.
I trust her.
Next one's going to be Defense Exhibit 299.
Whoa, I made a mistake. I meant to go subscribers only, went to members only. Never mind, forget, come back.
I
come
did
back.
not make any observations.
I boomered it. There we go.
That was sent to the clerk and provided copies to you.
There, fix that. Sorry about that little brief confusion there, peeps. Just slowing the chat down a little bit.
Defense Exhibit 299.
That's where you should have members only jackets.
White t-shirt.
You're old,
Looks
Eric.
like a white t-shirt your dad would wear.
No, it does not actually.
Okay.
His
Why?
t-shirts I actually did pay attention to. His t-shirts were a different brand.
What?
So to me, that does not look like his t-shirt.
But you said before you didn't know every single article.
I have his t-shirts. I have pairs of his t-shirts, which is why I know why. What his t-shirts are.
You don't have every single one of them.
No.
Okay.
She's just trying to be Little Miss Adult Sassy.
Yeah, it's definitely like.
So you
teenage
testified on direct that your dad had nicknames for Mr. Gutierrez, and one of them was Booger, and that he called them because what he saw by the window. But you also testified that you were right there by the window.
I was.
So were you able to see
After.
that too?
After.
So you weren't there the whole time?
The timing is mixed up. I was in the car when he had went. There were 2 times. He went the first time by himself, and the second time he went with me.
And what about the
Like
third
up
time
to
to ring the doorbell?
up to the house. Same night, 2 different times.
Where were you in the vehicle that you could see everything that Mr. Anderson was doing?
Good question.
So on direct, right? You said there, right now you're saying there were 2 times. The first time was you pull in and in the bar, near the bar, right? That's
My
what you
father
said.
had told me what he saw.
Well,
Like
no,
up front, had told me what he saw in the car through the window. If that is your question. I was not standing next to that window when he was looking at Mr. Gutierrez
She's
the
getting a
first
little
time.
sassy.
I went up the
Very.
second time. He had told me about this, but in the same way, I had seen him go around that corner.
So I want to break down kind of what you saw versus what you heard from someone else.
Okay.
So you pull in.
Mm-hmm.
It's not hearsay. It's a party
said
admission.
That your dad had a video recording device.
Mm-hmm.
And then at some point he went behind to put another cell phone in the air conditioning unit. Right? That's behind the house.
Yeah.
But you're now saying
It's on the side of the house.
You're now saying you were in the car this whole time. You're not out running around the house with your dad.
Objection.
How do-
Hold on. She has explained that there's 2 different sections. She's out at sometimes and not.
I'm asking about the
Well,
first
no,
time.
No, actually, you're not asking. You're saying what you understand the situation to have been. So you can ask what the truth of it is, and then the district attorney is reporting what he thought the testimony was. So why don't you rephrase your question?
Apparently, this attorney
I
thinks
wanna
he's
break it down
testifying.
a little bit further. You're saying there were 2 times your dad went up to the house that evening, right?
Correct.
The first time you didn't get out of the vehicle.
No.
So I'm only talking about the first time.
Okay.
The first time you said you saw your dad with a recording device and that you also saw your dad put a cell phone into the air conditioning unit.
Correct.
During this time, you are still in the vehicle.
Yes.
It's dark outside.
But light enough where you can still see.
You said it was the middle of the night.
It is. That doesn't mean I have 20/20 vision, so
What?
I can see.
Oh, okay. So you
That doesn't
then
have to do with whether it's light out, though.
explain to me your mom's house.
My goodness.
From where you were parked. You were parked in the bar lot?
Yes.
And were you sitting in the front seat?
Yes.
And you were in the van?
No.
You were in the Audi.
Yes.
You're sitting in the front seat of the Audi. Which way are you facing?
We are backed up. So me sitting in the car, I am facing the tail of the car. I'm looking at the house. When Dad left the car, I was looking to see where he was going, what he was doing.
So you're facing the house. What wall of the house are you facing?
Have you seen a picture of the house?
Yeah.
Okay,
I am.
so I am on the bar side. I am near the back of the house. I am on, if you're looking at it from the field. I don't think you're listening.
Oh my God. Oh
kid is
my
something else.
God. Wow. Someone needs a
I wonder what the jury
spanking.
is thinking.
So I'm just a little confused because you're saying you're on the bar side and the door with the window is on the complete opposite side of the house.
Correct. That does not mean that I did not see him turn that corner and when he came back to tell me what he had saw.
Okay, so again, I only want to know
and
what...
I am. I'm
Just a
telling
moment.
you.
Just a moment. Please listen to the whole question and then answer, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Judge. I only want to know what you saw, not what... We can get into what he told you later. This is only what you saw. So you couldn't see that door. You could not see that window from where you were parked.
Correct.
So then when he comes back, you said you get in the car and you kind of pull out, but you don't completely leave, right?
What?
So you said there were 2 times that he went to the house. And in your direct testimony, you said he got back in the car and then went to drive away, but then stopped and got out again. And that was when you came out of the vehicle.
Judge,
Right?
Again, that mischaracterizes the testimony. She indicated he came back, he got her.
Well, let her answer the question. That's what she's
third incident
asking.
Where he leaves the car, where they partially leave. So the when she is retrieved from
How
the
many
car.
How many times did you get out of the car?
I got out twice.
How many times did your dad get out of the car?
3 times. Twice. Because he did not get out of the car the second time when he came to get me. When we were still parked at the bar, he did not come and he came and got me. He didn't sit in the car, drive away.
So he didn't enter the car?
No, not fully. So he only got out twice and I only got out twice.
So the second time then, well, you got out 2 times?
Do I need to re-explain?
Oh my God.
Clearly.
Please, you can answer question without a question.
I'm confused.
Okay, well, let's do this. Oh, let's not.
I'll just answer the
get
question.
brazen with me.
What was the second time? Well, the first time you got out of the car then?
It was to go up to the house, to the window that you're talking about, where I can see through the crack of the shades. And that's when he told me to go like this with my shirt. So then the breath marks didn't get on the window.
And then you went back to the car?
And then we did. We both, at that point, had gone back to the car. And we were pulling away. And then we got to, it depends on which way you're going, but the second entry to our driveway, it was the bigger open end to our driveway. And he stops, gets out, and I get out and I'm like, what are you doing? And I see him taking pictures of his license, of Mr. Gutierrez's license plate, taking his registration. Somewhere in the time I didn't see him, but he turned the corner, got the phone, rang the doorbell, and came back to the car, and then we left.
So you didn't see him go to the air conditioning unit?
I did not see him go to the air conditioning unit, correct, but I did see him bring back the phone.
Did you see him go to the air conditioning unit that first time?
Yes.
So, did your mom ever talk to you about what she observed that evening?
I mean, she's my mother. There are things to be discussed about that I don't know how to answer your question.
Well, the
Yes or
answer to
no
the
would
question
suffice.
wasn't about the content. It was just, did your mother ever discuss the matter?
A
with
bit.
you?
Okay. And when did she have that conversation with you? Was it
A while
close?
ago.
It was close to that time.
Yeah.
and she told you that she thought it was your dad.
No. 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 I knew.
What?
Well, I'm
What
saying,
did
what
your
did
mom
she
say?
say? I'm not asking what
I already
you
knew
thought.
everything that my mom knew. She wasn't
Listen
telling
to
me
the
anything that I
fucking
didn't know
question, you
already.
little snot.
Okay. And do you remember telling her that you actually weren't there?
I do remember telling her that. I did.
And that you just knew what had happened because of a video you watched and from what your dad told you?
Yes.
Remember
In the
a
beginning
while
of
ago
all
when
of
we
this,
all
I did
felt
not
sorry
know.
for
I didn't
this
have
girl?
a question.
I was.
Nice.
I still kind of do, but I'm a softie.
You still do?
Well, more just because, like, not for what she's doing in the moment, just kind of in general.
On
I mean,
May 19th, 2020, do you remember a time where your mom had
Situation
left
is
to go down to Kenosha to check on Mr. Gutierrez?
A bit.
Okay. And prior to that happening, your mom had had a conversation with you about how she was worried her friend was missing, right?
Objection. I think it calls for hearsay.
It's already been testified to, Judge.
I believe it's still a hearsay statement, even though it's been testified to.
What?
It's an in-court statement.
We're going to break at this point, and
We're going to have an argument.
please don't talk about the case. Read, watch, or listen to any account of the trial.
So the
And,
DA is saying, I got away with hearsay. You can't
starting
question
at
her about the
1
hearsay.
o'clock.
I got away with asking her.
Convenient? Okay, thanks.
Wow.
Yeah, spot on.
Okay,
Oh,
Natalie, you're still feeling you're feeling sympathy for her unfortunate situation she finds herself in with shitty parents.
more of anything, just I feel bad for any kid who's pitted between their parents in this way. Is it's like not a kid thing, and especially I feel bad for her in the fact that I mean the coaching is obviously real, and I don't think it's just her mom. I mean, you think about that, like it's also. I'm sure Rosalio's parents, things like that, have made statements to her. I'm sure she was ostracized at school and maybe had to change schools because her dad was alleged to have done something. I mean, there's a lot. I think I personally, and it's probably because of what I do, think that there's a big difference between a tantrum and a traumatic response. And, you know, I kind of see it in this way as its culmination of like all of these things. That means I'm not trying to justify what she's saying or the way she's behaving. I just have a lot of sympathy because, I mean, I've dealt with lots of kids who are in similar battles between their parents, and it's just no way for anybody to win. And, you know, it's really hard to be able to make that decision because I'm sure she's questioned herself enough times. You know, did this happen? Things like that. But, you know, it sounds like there's something else she's mad about other than just this.
I agree with you, Natalie.
And that's the thing, is it has to be something that is at a level that bothers her so much that she's willing to act and behave in this way. And I mean, it's just red flags for me as part of what I do, is that it seems to me that there's something else going on that's upsetting her, and it makes me question what it is and who's responsible for it.
I agree. And if I may add something, I feel like it's important to remember this little girl didn't ask to be put in this situation. You know, the fact that she is being put on the stand, the fact that she is being asked to testify against her father in a murder trial, she's obviously smart. She's obviously bright. You know, when I was her age, I had a lot of behavioral issues, and I definitely, you know, I feel for her because I feel like that behavior, it's something that, you know, she's going through something. This is a trauma for her. And it's important to remember that she didn't choose this. She has a lot of attitude, and she's definitely acting out in a way that is not so nice. But I think that that reflects some inner turmoil. And she's a minor. She's a child. She didn't ask to be put in this situation. I feel really bad for her.
And while she's 14 now, she was 12 at the time. So she's spent the past 2 years, you know, dwelling on this and being angry. And, you know,
Her whole family has been split apart by this.
Her family's it's broken. She's got a broken family and she doesn't know how to deal with it. And I mean, she's projecting. She's not dealing with her anger or feelings in a healthy or appropriate way. But it's not anything that I can hate her for.
She doesn't have the coping mechanisms.
I'm going to say, but she's still a snotty.
Sure, you can say that. That's fine. It's more of I mean, that's the whole fact.
Possibly. Crazy theory here. Get the cut cage off of Natalie. Yeah.
Oh Jesus!
That's not.
Sorry.
It's not.
It's happened. It's happened to me.
Terrible placement.
Wait.
Oh my God! Thank God
Hang on.
Natalie's in
I'm
jail.
getting there.
We don't want
I'm
Natalie in
getting
jail.
there. Hang on. There we go. There's the screen. Sorry about that, Natalie.
Maybe this young lady is playing 4D chess, and she really is trying to get her father to walk. She loves her father, wants to get him to walk, and she says, I'm going to come out and testify for the state, and then I'm going to make myself way more hateable than my dad. So that basically the jury's
totally
like...
possible too. I mean, you have no idea. I think it's really hard to determine what her motivation is in it. Yeah, she might also just not know what she's doing at all. She's probably trying to please certain people, and punish somebody she thinks at fault.
Well, that kid needs therapy. And, honestly, I mean, she's being put in this impossible situation. She's basically being told, your dad is a murderer. Your dad killed somebody. She probably has a lot of anger and resentment. And I'm sure that she has a lot of feelings. Her whole life has probably been torn apart by this situation. And, I don't like her attitude, but I can empathize having been a kid who probably acted like that around adults. I was very sassy when I was her age. So, I don't know. I feel for her. I do. And the attitude isn't really helping either. Her defensiveness is coming across as though, she's being asked simple yes or no questions. And she's like, do I really have to explain this? Do you not understand? She looks like she's hiding something.
And that's an appropriate response in general, if he's asking you a question. But, she's a little brat, but I do feel bad for her.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, she's definitely a brat.
But she's, as we've all agreed, she's clearly been coached by the prosecution, by the mother, by everybody on these answers. Gravely's doing the same thing he's done with the other witnesses. He's literally mouthing the answers to the questions as they say them.
Yeah.
I think I have to say I'm a little impressed with the brass cojones on the DA. That this objection that's pending right now, which it seems like they're going to have an argument about. I don't know if we'll get to see the argument, but if in case you missed it, basically the question was about a conversation she had with her mother, and the objection, there's an objection hearsay, which makes sense. And the defense responds, well, I'm just trying to flesh out what she was asked about on direct. And he's like, it's still hearsay, which is basically the DA saying, yeah, I got it past you. It was hearsay. You should have objected. She shouldn't have testified about it. And now that it's in there, you can't ask any more about it. I think it's because it's hearsay. To me, I would think that in rules of evidence, that once it's come in and if it's a statement that she's testified about, that should be allowed by the defense to flesh it out, even if it is hearsay, and on the grounds that the DA introduced this testimony. But I'm wondering if, Natalie, if you're familiar with the rules of evidence, and I'm putting you on the spot here only because I have deep respect for you and your experience with this court.
It depends upon what it is. There are different times where Schroeder will be, you didn't object to this, that's your own fault type of thing. But, I also think that if it is something that is within the scope of direct, that you should be able to deal with it, unless there's a legitimate other reason for it. And that's, again, we got to see what argument comes up. Is there might be more at issue with what we're dealing with other than just hearsay. Hearsay might have just been the easiest objection he had to shut things down in the moment. I don't know until we have to wait and see what's next.
No,
this trial has been an absolute shit show from literally day one. 20 minutes into the defense's opening statement when they're asking for a mistrial. It's just literally, and there's been 29 witnesses, and Well, there's a question from Rob here coming. I got to burn through a bunch more of these super chats. Sorry, people. She has zero independent recollection of events, right? She can remember details, but not big things. Duncan Idaho, my mistake. They weren't married with 3 kids in this drawn out, on again, off again shit show is even worse, though. Really sucks for all the kids, right? Chandler is not a lawyer yet, but I like her perspective. She is the educated observer who has the privilege of participating in real time with some law tubers, noting that we, the audience, note. And speaking of we, the audience noting things, it's Aussie Overlaw'd.
Hey.
Good morning.
Hidden. Hello.
You are using a bad microphone.
Oh, damn it. I'll be back.
All right.
While he sorts that out, back to this here. Noting what we, the audience, note. Okay. Fem Natal, Jeff, can you slow down chat, please? I did, and you saw the results of that. It took a while, but we eventually got it sorted out.
Very well done.
We sorted it out. Yeah, thanks, Joe. I can't really think of anything else I could have done wrong.
With almost no mistakes at all.
No, almost, yeah. And trying to rebond with her dad, testifying against him in a murder trial probably isn't the best way.
But making yourself more hateable, you could sort of,
yeah.
You know.
Chandler effing rocks, says Marv
There you
White.
go.
Thank you, Marv. That's very sweet.
Feral housewife. This is exactly how my teens act when they want to convince me they're not lying when they are.
Yes. I had the same thoughts. This is exactly how lying teens act. It's like, why are you even questioning me about this? Everything about the whole tone of her testimony. Any mother or father who has a girl anywhere or has had a girl within the last 10 years in this age range, they know this tone. They know they know that tone well.
And this is the thing, right? Law and Lumber, Robbie. Why did the DA put on this witness Nightmare? She's witness number 29, and I have literally asked that of at least 25 of the 29 witnesses. Why is this person here? A good chunk of them seem to be really, really good witnesses for the defense. Kyle Bogue, this kid has been groomed and brainwashed by her mother, and probably, as Natalie was saying, a lot of other people too.
Mm-hmm.
Law and Lumber is killing me in chat, says Elise Lane. John Gordon, DA is red as a tomato now. Natalie, remind me to ask you a question about Sadie here in a minute. I won't remember it through the next 6 super chats. DA is making eye contact with her and nodding to accused. He does that. He mouths the answers exactly as they're going to say them, and then he nods his head. That's creepy, and I don't think it's very ethical. But
with the timing, is he mouthing it before they're saying it?
Literally at the same time.
Okay, because sometimes that's a dumb thing that I've noticed some people do when they have a hard time hearing things, is they mouth as they go to kind of like recognize things. That's something that Mark does sometimes. He doesn't do it in court generally, but like in conversations, he'll mouth along if he can't hear me very well to like mimic my mouth shapes to like have it so he can understand better. This is a little bit different though. So at first I was like, oh, maybe he's just listening, but I mean, it's not really appropriate court either.
Well, when the jailhouse snitch was testifying to the nightmare confession, when he was having a nightmare, and said, well, what did he say in his nightmare? He was yelling, die, 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 motherfucker. And he was literally just going the same way, just mouthing the words exactly. It was just, I mean, ugh. It was like, these are the words. It was like Chandler and I were talking into the script reader off stage. And you're like, line. Yeah, or the mother, like, in the the Sunday school sing along with the children or whatever, like mouthing the words really big from the audience so the child doesn't forget.
Yeah, stage mom, musical theater type stuff.
Yeah. Defense lawyers getting under her skin. What was that, Natalie?
I said elementary school music teacher.
Yep, exactly. Mm-hmm. He has a whole
or AOC explaining mRNA vaccines.
Nice.
Yes, exactly.
Wild Red has a whole tree farm, plants weed inside. This is dumb. Yeah. Lil Pug, shout out to all the dads of snakes. See ya. Shannon 7, sometimes those who are hardest to love are those who need it most. She's sassy, but her situation sucks too. And Corn Pop super sticker. All right, the question I have regarding Sadie for you, Natalie, is why on earth would she be allowed to sit in the courtroom for the testimony of everybody when no one else has been allowed?
Marcy's Law. She's the victim. There was when they passed, I mean, it's not uncalled for in general, or not uncalled for in common for a victim to be able to sometimes listen to things previously. But that was, you know, something that came up with Rittenhouse trial for us as well when they objected to, well, when Gage Grosskreutz lawyer objected to him having to turn the phone over, his cell phone over, was that's under Marcy's Law. So Marcy's Law is something that passed in the state of Wisconsin a couple of years ago. The way that they, you know, market it, because it passed via, you know, public election, is, you know, they put on the ballot, do you support having, you know, rights for victims of crimes? And they don't do the fine print. And that was something that we in the legal community seriously pushed against, at least from defense attorney standpoint, because it, in a way, you know, denies people their constitutional rights. But it's part of this like victim rights, you know, amendment to the Constitution. I mean, it's just part of Marcy's Law.
Okay, so she's one of the alleged victims of the alleged stalking. So okay.
Yeah, she's a victim of the stalking, quote unquote.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah.
Okay, now it makes sense now, because I was like, well, she's not married to the guy.
No, but since she's the stalking victim, she can be there for the whole time.
That answered the single most asked question of the trial so far.
Well, and you know, I don't know necessarily, like in the officer being at the table thing, I know is weird as well, but that's something I've seen in federal court too. So, I mean, I think it kind of depends upon, you know, the judge and practice. Usually you have to ask beforehand specific leave of the judge to allow that person to be sitting at the table. So this is probably something that was already dealt with in a motion in limine as well.
And speaking of sitting at the table, welcome back to the table, Aussie Overlaw'd, Hayden.
Fingers crossed that sounds better.
There you go.
Yeah.
There we go.
Well, now that we've got everybody here, again, as I was saying before earlier in the last break, before we were so rudely interrupted by court, Twitter, Remy, REMY_legal for Chandler Remington. Good Lawgic. If you're following me and not Good Lawgic, I don't know what's wrong with you. That makes no sense at all whatsoever. But just in case, go to Good Lawgic over here on YouTube. And what are your other details?
Oh, my other details? Goodlogic.locals.com. And on Rumble.
There you go. And he's got a Twitter too, this program. And
Or the following program. The following
program.
It's actually technically at the following pro, because they didn't let me have more letters.
You changed it, and it's been like 3 months, and I still haven't memorized it.
No one ever will. No one ever will. It's designed to help keep me anonymous from anything. So.
And Natalie Wisco, how can we find you on Twitter?
I'm at NL Wisco. I mostly post like pictures of my pets and tweets about Muppets. So that's just like a fair warning. Is I really like animals and Muppets. Just, I don't really like puppets, but I love Muppets.
Really?
So yeah, marionettes are creepy, but I love a Muppet. So yeah, if you like pugs and cats and Muppets.
Do you have a favorite Muppet? A favorite Muppet?
Well, all-time favorite
Sorry.
Muppet, or we have to talk about, are you talking about Sesame Street? Are you talking about, you know, the General Kermit Muppet?
Now we can narrow it down to a top three.
Top three. I've always been a huge Grover fan.
Okay.
So Super Grover, love Grover. Grover also has such a sweetheart. I have always really loved Gonzo as well.
Yeah.
Gonzo's a big fan. I'm a big fan of Gonzo.
It's not creepy with the whole chicken thing there.
Oh, he's just weird. He's different. I identified him a lot as a kid. It's because I was a weird kid. So I liked Gonzo because Gonzo was the weird one.
I gotcha.
And I also am a really big fan of Snuffleupagus.
Huh. They made him, when you were growing up, was he like invisible or was he not invisible to parents?
I'm pretty sure he was invisible the whole time when I was a kid.
Right. But then they made him visible because apparently.
Adults, yeah.
Yeah, that was very That was very, very frustrating to me. To me, that just destroyed the only characteristic he had aside from creepy eyelashes. So
yeah. Well, I'd have to say the number one is Animal's the number one.
Oh, I also loved Oscar the Grouch back in the day. But I mean, if we're talking about things that are like closest to my heart, Snuffy, loved Snuffy. I had a little pair of slippers as a kid that had the little Snuffy head on them.
Mm-hmm.
And Grover makes it okay to have feelings.
Yeah.
So that's
Grover's great.
We got 2,133 people going, what?
What the heck are we
We're
talking
talking
about?
Muppets. It's
What are
break
we
time. Come
talking
on.
about?
Animal, Gonzo, and Sam the Eagle are my faves.
Mm.
That's
Aussie
great.
Overlaw'd.
Mm-hmm.
Go to Aussie Overlaw'd on Twitter and YouTube and sign up for him. And eventually, we haven't decided if this is a lunch break or not. They didn't say. They just said, let's take a break. But it's the lunch hour. So I don't know. Once we decide whether or not if it's a lunch hour, then we'll head on over to Aussie Overlaw'd, where he'll take the afternoon session.
Ooh.
For now, we're just kind of in a holding pattern.
So yesterday, I didn't see any testimony. Who all testified yesterday?
Sadie testified her cross-examination, and a bunch of kind of irrelevant people.
Were there like 4 officers?
Yeah, hang on.
Hey,
let me go notes.
you saw more of it than I did in the afternoon.
It was Rebecca Jekyll, the best friend.
Oh.
Rebecca
Yeah,
Jekyll.
I called her the glorified babysitter.
She was the one that Sadie left the kids with when she went to Mexico.
Mm-hmm. Apparently, there was there was some questions over whether or not she'd been told about the daughter's Chromebook being hacked. Oh yeah, and that's right. Whether or not she was trying to organize to put tracking software on Sadie's phone to check whether or not she was being tracked by Zach. But her son decided that it was not able to be possible or something along those lines. Then we had an FBI officer who was 4 months fresh and had 2 days worth of training in cell tower diagnostics as to work out.
2 days training. Yeah, 2 days training.
To be fair, she said approximately 2 days training. Now, I think that if it had been more than 2 days, she would have said more than 2 days. So I'm thinking it was a day and a half.
Was she male or female?
And on the second day, training rested.
Female?
Yeah.
FBI?
Yeah, basically. And they produced a whole bunch of maps just showing where supposedly Zach's phone was moving along in various places. Personally, I found that it did nothing.
Okay.
Like to the point where I've literally written two lines worth of notes about her entire testimony. So
Okay. I'm just curious because when I was in the courthouse, National Courthouse yesterday morning, and I just popped up to check, and one of the detectives involved in this case I know relatively well from the Rittenhouse case, and there were like 4 law enforcement officers waiting outside the courtroom, and so that's what I was just curious. More of looking at when their case is going to end, whether or not they called all 4 of those people, because they had told me that they were, kind of switching the batting order up.
Yeah, photo guy from the Rittenhouse. He was photo guy here too, and he testified yesterday.
Oh, I'm talking about Detective Howard. He's the one who is that who you're talking about? Bald, kind of looks like a street man. Yeah, he's a really nice guy, but I mean, I don't know what he testified to or what he did in this case. So.
Well, he's the one that gave me a mini heart attack yesterday afternoon because I thought they were going to cause another mistrial.
Oh, okay.
He produced some sort of report for that part of it may or may not have actually been given to the defense. The defense handed up her laptop to him to go through the report, and on the stand he went, "Hang on, this isn't the full report. This thing's missing."
Say, I would blame it on him, though. That's a district attorney's responsibility to turn it over. So I was going to say, if anything regarding that, I hope that people blame the right people for that.
We made sure the blame went on the DA.
Okay, good. I want to make sure.
Because specifically Mueller had previously said, this picture of this tracking device you keep talking about, I don't have it. Where is it? And they said, well, it's in the file. So that's when she put her laptop up there with the drive on it and said, find it. And they didn't, but they eventually found it. She had to go to the police station. They didn't have a copy of it. The police didn't have a copy of the police report. So then they had to go to him, and he found the original master disc that he had saved everything on. And it turned out it was on there. So she got it. And another mistrial was narrowly avoided.
Yeah.
And speaking of mistrials, time for me to grift myself. 2,136 of you here and 1,513 likes. I would just be excited as heck if all of you guys would reach down there and hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. I'm not sure where we are.
I just want to point out one thing before you do that, and that is that Legal Vices here has put together an assembly of people, including an attorney who practices in this courtroom, and some of you may not realize this, was actually a part of Kyle Rittenhouse's defense in front of this very judge. Sat there the entire trial. We all saw her for weeks as they successfully did their thing. And that's who Legal Vices, that's only a part of who Legal Vices is assembling here. Statistically, 30% of you right now are not subbed up to him. So there's no reason that he shouldn't jump up by at least 100 subs like in the next 3 minutes. If you're enjoying this content, you want to find more of it, you definitely should make sure you hit the like, the subscribe, and adding a comment helps him be found by other people because it just has YouTube send people this way.
You are absolutely correct, but I'm a greedy son of a bitch, and I am 350 away from 36,000. So I want 350 of you, not 50 of you. I want 350 of
Do
you
it.
to hit that subscribe button and get me up to 36,000.
Amen.
Why not? I'm sure there's at least 300 of you that aren't subscribed. And then you even have our stupid little poll over here that you can take to say you liked and subscribed. So that's it. Just wanted to get that out of the way. My little personal grift. Let's see how we're doing here. Wow, we've convinced 5 people to subscribe. Come on, people. Only 345 more. All right. Let's get to some of these super chats before court starts again. 14-year-olds are actively awful and should not be listened to, says Jonathan. Same goes for all teenagers. People in their 20s, too. Really, 30 plus is okay, I guess. I could not agree more. What's the over-under on how long before she snags the judge's phone?
Oh my God. You're going to start hearing the ringtone at the witness stand. You're going to be like, wait.
It's going to be Taylor Swift.
Well, that was something I saw people in the chat commenting about, Nicole controlling her face while doing this. And she was a year below me in law school. And I coached a couple of times her moot court team when they were practicing back in law school.
Wow.
That's always a trick of mine, is when you need to control your face, you lift your eyebrows because it restricts your ability to move the rest of your face. Because it kind of tightens things. So that's like whenever I've been in a situation where it's because I have a very expressive face. Like if you guys have seen Big Trouble in Little China, there's a point where Kurt Russell's like, I know there's a problem with your face. That's kind of how I see myself. As very expressive. So if you have to control your expression, raising your eyebrows is really good for that because it doesn't allow a lot of your other face to move.
That's a great tip that I never heard before.
Yeah.
She does have a tell with her face. Whenever she's displeased with Judge Schroeder's rulings, she gives this Jim from The Office face, which is just kind of like, okay, and then she moves on. Okay, I think you're totally crazy, but all right, let's move on. And Corn Pop says, I'm behind. Of course. The Eva Blink.
Good time to catch up.
Exactly. Was she kept separate from her mom for the duration of the trial to keep from being influenced by other witnesses?
Yeah.
I doubt it.
Not
She's a minor child.
Yeah, she needs a mom, I guess. Cameron Mason. The telling the daughter came from the mom who said on the 18th she told her daughter he was missing when he shouldn't have known. Oh, yeah, that was the deal they did yesterday. I know what that means. She had previously said that she told her daughter that her boyfriend was missing and essentially gave the impression that her father may have had something to do with the disappearance of her new boyfriend. Just the way it was worded, it was very much like he's missing and your dad probably did it. Not those exact words, but
the day after, before anybody went to the apartment.
Yeah, well, she was asked on when she was cross-examined, and Mueller did a great job of just laying this out. What did you tell your daughter? I told her that that my friend was missing. Why did you tell her that your boyfriend was missing? Because she saw that I was sad, and so I thought I would tell her why. So I told her this. And when did you tell her this? On May 18th. Okay, and why did you tell her your daughter was missing when he wasn't missing until the 19th? Nobody knew he was missing on the 18th. And of course, the DA went nuts and objected and tried to every way he could possibly think of not to get her to answer the question. It was overruled. And then she still had to think for about 20 seconds why she told her daughter that her boyfriend was missing the day before anybody knew he was missing.
Wow.
You could watch the gears straining in her head to try and come up with some sort of explanation.
Her answer was, I couldn't, and she hadn't been able to reach him for about 12 hours at this point. I wasn't able to contact him. So in my eyes, he was missing.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's really not a terrible answer. It's not a terrible answer. Just because he's not listed as officially missing, I was saying, yeah, that's as answers go for being put in a tough spot. That's a pretty good job, but
yeah,
because colloquially, people would say he's missing.
I wouldn't. I'd say the son of a bitch isn't answering my texts. He's ghosting me. That's what I'd say. But yeah, that was bad.
So that's a great question. That's a great job by the defense.
Yeah, you're not paying attention to me. That's the motivation. Jew a totes. Not sure what that means, corn pope, but maybe one of you two can tell me. But it's probably something corn poppy. Corn poppy. Corn.
It's very corn poppy.
Yeah, it's corn pop. Next. This is corn pop. Delasander, right when it gets juicy, judge calls for a break cuck. Okay. I think this to me seems like a lunch break.
I think it is a lunch break.
It is. He just said, let's take a break.
Maybe we might be able to go over the stalking charges if you want at some point after Super
We will. I think we should go over to Hayden's channel and do that.
Oh.
Everybody want to go over to Hayden's channel?
I have to take my do a family errand at 2, which is in 33 minutes for me. But I can get it if he starts it up right now. I can get in there for a couple minutes. Yeah.
And while you're doing that, I'll read these 4 channels. These 4 last super chats, I think, we'll have to check to make sure. Cool. But anyway, can you and Joe help me with YouTube channel as a person juror? This and all trials are pissing me off from my view. Ridiculous. We need to get back to the idea of innocence until proven guilty. It's done. It's gone. We need to put it back in place.
We need civics back in school again.
Oh, yeah, that'd be a start. Yeah. Joined Rumble. Might post woke crap there for lols.
Nice.
Okay. Snuffy was invisible? What? Oh, come on.
He was.
Please tell me you're old and you're just like joking about that. But yeah, that was the stupidest thing. Second only to Cookie Monster now eating vegetables. Snuffy was invisible. What? Glad you're and now Oscar is unhomed. He's anyway. Glad you're on the panel, Chandler. A voice for us plebs.
Oh, happy to be here.
Missing report was a different witness, not Howard. Yeah, Howard's tall and thin. The other guy was like short. But he was just testifying about pictures and things like that.
Oh, I think there's like a Martin Howard, and then there's like a Howard Martin or a Shane.
This was
Martin
or something.
Their names are really similar.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it was Martin Howard that was testifying yesterday morning. I think we've got all of the super chats out of the way. Nope. Corn Pop YouTube. I paying to play. All right. Appreciate that. Natalie, do you keep up with Photo Chad?
I mean, we don't like socialize in real life because I don't really socialize in real life. I just like to hang out at my house. Every now and then I'll do something social. But I see him at the courthouse, things like that. We always say hi. He and I will message on Twitter, things like that. I mean, he's I saw him one of the day. I've seen him when I've gone into the court. He's doing really well. I'm happy for him. He's, doing freelance photography, stuff like that. He's moved up in the world. And is doing more of what he wants to do. So that's great for him.
Cool.
It's good, old reliable Nathan.
Kyle Bogue says, I was pretty clear that Natalie busted her tail to ensure Rittenhouse's acquittal. Hashtag millibytes.
I still can't say that correctly.
What, millibytes?
Megabytes. I have to stop and say it because I still when I'm talking to myself in my head, I always say millibytes. It's just I'm never gonna get over it.
You know that's like your legend.
I know, and I'm fine with it. I've thought about, that's my million.
That's your
little
legacy.
pieces,
That's
millions of little bites.
No, not No, I'm saying your association with Rittenhouse is your legacy that you.
Oh, I thought you meant millibytes. I
No.
was like, no, I'm fine with that. My logic was correct. I just can't, say that word.
All right. Well, I got a couple of more things here. Grant Sanford says unsubscribed. Well, don't let the door hit you in the ass on the way out. It was fun having you. Bye. I wish I was drunk. How are we, lads and lasses? Jeff and the full cast. We're doing great, and we're going to pop on over to Aussie Overlaw'd as soon as he gets things up and running. This is a crazy, crazy trial. He's up and running, so now I've got to set the forward thing here, the forward thingamajig. Redirect to Aussie Overlaw'd. This is a great way of doing it because he gets to sleep and wake up early, and then I get to go to sleep and get like 4 hours before work. So
lots of wisdom.
I like doing this, breaking it up and thing. All right. Private chat has the link to anyone here on the panel that wants to join us. Mods, thank you for being mods. Chat, thank you for being the greatest chat on the entire internet, next to Joe's, I guess. But we know you're better than Joe's, but you're mostly Joe's anyway, so whatever. You know what I mean. Lots of overlap. Appreciate that. Appreciate all the generous super chats we got. Everybody, we'll see you back here tomorrow for the trial, the morning session at the same time. Going to end the broadcast. You should get automatically transferred over to Aussie Overlaw'd. If not, there's going to be a little blue box at the top of chat you can check. And if that doesn't work, you're going to have to do it manually.
Hi.
Let's see. Roll the YouTube wheel and see what happens. See y'all over there in a flash.
Godspeed.
Bye.